Meeting. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Saavedra, and I will be presiding over this committee. We have a change in the agenda. Dr. Montoya,
Okay.
you'll go ahead and give us that comment, please.
Again, this is probably one of the most important meetings we have because we have approved the budget in general, but now we're getting back to the main purpose of this, to share information related to budget areas, as well as the main area discussing the compensation plan and trying to finalize it. But this is the key meeting for us to plan in terms of funding issues and also staffing issues. So at this time, I'll turn it back to you, ma'am.
Okay, we do have a change order on the agenda for the day today. If you would look after item 2 on the update of delinquent tax collections, right after that presentation, we're moving up number 7, the miscellaneous. And then we will continue and proceed with the rest of the agenda. Okay? With that, we'll go ahead and turn it over to the update on delinquent tax collections.
Okay. Again, I think, Mr. Garcia, you have an update on that piece of information.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Saavedra. I do have a representative, which is Mr. John Guevara from Linebarger, Gogan, Blair, and Sampson. I think one of the things that we wanted to do was keep the board abreast of the delinquent tax collections. If you remember, back at the beginning at the beginning of the school year, back in January, we did switch delinquent tax collection firms. So therefore, I'm going to ask Mr. Guevara to give us an update as to our current delinquent tax collection rates. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia, Dr. Saavedra, members of the board, Dr. Montoya, district staff. It's a pleasure to be before you. In front of you is a delinquent tax collection report for the last 5 months. Part of the report always starts with, I want to tell you about what we've been doing. The very first thing that we did was analyze the delinquent tax roll to strategize what our collection efforts would be. Our collection program always starts with property inspections and mailings. We conducted several property inspections to go and talk to taxpayers, try to get them to come into the office and do payment agreements. Our mailings do the exact same thing. If you look on page 2, there's a mailing schedule. We proposed 9 direct mailing pieces throughout the year, along with 2 to 3 special mailings. So far, we've conducted 4 in the last 5 months. And you can see we sent one out in February, March, April, May. We had another one go out in July, which doesn't cover this reporting period. And we have another one that's just dropping in the next, either today or tomorrow, here in August. We have another one going out in September, November, and then December. At the bottom of that page, you see a snapshot of the litigation summary that has commenced in the last 5 months. We have filed 320 cases, including 287 real property accounts and 33 personal property accounts, totaling close to $1 million. We've non-suited 14 cases as of the end of June that were already paid, that paid as a result of our filings. We have pending petitions of 306, totaling just over $900,000. If you look at the next page, you'll see the collections over the last 4 years. The good thing is that you ended your fiscal year almost 2.5 points higher than previous years, the best collections you've had in the last 5 years. About a $339,000 difference on base tax collections. If you look at the chart below, on the bottom of that page, the collections include not only base but also penalty and interest. So bottom line, you had just over $500,000 in increased collections this year over the last 5 years. Over last year, and then the best over the last 5 years. The next page talks about tax sales. We had 2 property tax sales in the last 5 months, as well as 1 tax resale. The results of those tax sales included nearly $100,000 in payments to the district via properties that were sold, but most of them were payment agreements entered into taxpayers right before the tax sale, which is normally the custom. Our resale, we were able to get 10 additional properties back onto the tax roll. Whenever you have a tax sale and bids don't come in, that property is then struck off to the taxing entities, and since it's owned by the taxing entities at that point, it's exempt from taxes, so it's not producing any income. We try to have a resale as regularly as possible to get those properties back on the roll, to get them sold and get them back on the roll so they're producing income for the district. We were able to get 10 back on the roll, and that included about $79,000 to the district with just those 10 properties. Our work plan for the district includes processing about 30 pieces of title that we had as of the reporting date for this document, this report. Increased taxpayer visitations, because that's the cornerstone of our collection program. We need to go and talk to taxpayers. We'll actively target the 306 pending petitions along with any new petitions and get those to final judgment so that we can get income to the district. We're monitoring about 922 payment agreements for the district, totaling just over $1 million. We're also monitoring bankruptcy accounts. There's currently 227 accounts that are in bankruptcy that represent just under $500,000 owed to the district. Just because there's a bankruptcy doesn't mean that the district won't get those funds. It just delays the acquisition of those funds until the bankruptcy process has gone through. We'll continue the mailing program that we have set up. Again, the plan is to send out 9 mailings throughout the year that are regular mailings, and then 2 to 3 specialized mailings. And what I mean by specialized mailings are your high dollar accounts, your business accounts, because those have a shorter statute of limitations. So we want to concentrate on those. So those are special mailings that we do throughout the year. We'll schedule property tax sales. Our next sale is scheduled for this coming September. It'll be September 7th. And we have another one scheduled for November, as well as a resale. Now, we don't have resales too often. And the reason we don't have resales, remember, the purpose for a resale is to take struck-off property that is now exempt and not on the rolls, and get them back on the tax roll. The reason we don't have very many of those is because it doesn't make sense to have a sale when we only have 5 or 6 of those properties. We want to get a nice inventory so that we have synergy working. We have a lot of people interested in those purchases or those properties, so that the bid will be the best for the district. So we kind of have to keep an eye on that. If we don't have properties in inventory, then we won't schedule a resale. But typically every November, that's the time that we definitely have a resale. You have a couple of appendices in your packet. One is lawsuits filed. As I mentioned, we filed 320 lawsuits totaling about $950,000, just under $1 million, and that's in Appendix 1. Exhibit 2 is an interesting chart. I wanted to show you what the collections were last year for each month as well as the current year. And you can see that in December, on the far right-hand corner, you can see in December you were $240,000 less in collections than the previous year. So we were able to take that deficit, and as of the end of June, you ended with $339,000 over last year. So that's about a $580,000 swing just in that period of time. So there was an immediate impact, and I think the strategy is working, and we'll continue a similar strategy to get that revenue to the district. That's our report in a nutshell. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions, comments?
Sounds
Dr. Escobedo?
sounds like we're in the right track. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Keep collecting those taxes.
We'll do that. We'll keep working with the taxpayer all the time. If we can
Thank
give
you.
any service, please let
Thank
us
you
know.
Thank you for your
Services.
hard work and services, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Next item, we move to the miscellaneous. That would be tab 7.
Mr. Garcia.
Yes, thank you. Is Ms. Eva Arambula Woodpin here? Yes, okay, great. What we're going to do under miscellaneous, we're going to be presenting a program that's available for our employees if this is what our school board decides to provide. And we're going to give you all the details. I've invited Eva Arambula Woodfin, and she's the small dollar loan coordinator for the Community Loan Center Corporation. And she'll go over the presentation on the actual program, some benefits, and what would be the requirement in this for the school district to have this implemented as an employee benefit for our employees. Thank you. With this, I will introduce Ms. Woodfin.
And how do I get the screen? up?
Projectors?
At the reflector. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Dr. Escobedo, Dr. Saavedra, Dr. Montoya, and members of the board. Thank you for inviting me here this afternoon. Again, my name is Eva Woodfin, and I'm here to present to you the small dollar loan program that is being offered as a workplace loan to employers throughout the Rio Grande Valley. I'm going to give you a little bit background about who we are. We represent the Rio Grande Valley Multibank. It's a consortium of local banks here in the valley. The Community Loan Center is a subsidiary of the Multibank that was founded back in 1995 as investor stockholder banks. Our mission of the Rio Grande Valley Multibank is to improve the economic conditions here in the valley. So that is why we came up with a small dollar loan program that we're going to be reviewing here in just a minute. The shareholder institutions that represent the RGV Multibank and the Community Loan Center are before you here. They're the major local banks here in the valley. And I'm here to talk to you about how it's going to help you, the employer, and how you can offer this to your employees. They're workplace loans, and it's done through a payroll deduction plan. It's no cost to the employer, and we're calling it it's an employer benefit that you can offer to your employees. It helps increase productivity and financial stability, employer turnover, less stress in the workplace, and to help build employer loyalty. The result that we believe is that it's employees that have less financial stress tend to be more productive employees. So that is our goal, to have better employees for the employers. How does it work? It's very simple. It's a memorandum of understanding that you agree to enter into with the Community Loan Center. The requirements of the program, basically there are none. We don't pull credit report. There is no collateral requirement. They can take up to 12 months to pay, and there are no prepayment penalties. Payments as low as $40. Money is directly deposited into their checking account. And they have to currently be working in the job for 3 months, have a valid bank ID, must be 18 years of age. Employer benefits, we also provide credit counseling, budget counseling. We partner with Community Development Corporation of Brownsville, where they can make appointments anytime between 8:30 and 5:30. We also have them on the weekends when they are available. If they need budget counseling for any type of, if they want to plan to build a home or plan to repair their credit, we have those type of services, and they're free. What you see before you here is what the Multibank and the Community Loan Center is trying to come up with an alternative product here in the Rio Grande Valley, and eventually go statewide with this program, because we're trying to combat payday loans. And I don't know whether you've seen every corner, you see Cash America Pawn and payday loan lenders trying to get your money. And what we're trying to do is give you an example. If somebody walks into the payday loans and then borrows $1,000 for 14 days, they're going to charge them approximately about $300 just to get that loan. That loan's going to be due in 14 days, and if they can't come up with that $1,300, they're going to charge them another $1,300. So then you're looking at 700% annual percentage rate, APR, and that's egregious, and we're trying to change that. So we're trying to come up with this alternative through the employer. It's not anything it's not a brick and mortar type of building that you can come to us and I can lend you the money. It's offered through the employer. So if you look at the example of our loan here, it's $1,000. We do charge a $20 admin fee. It's for 12 months at 18%. So the total that they would be paying is $122. It's $20 for the application fee, $100 for interest. So if you divide that by 12, they actually end up paying about $8 a month of interest. So it's very, very reasonable, and their monthly payment would be $93 a month. Employers that pay weekly and bi-monthly, those are the amounts that they would pay. But how do they apply for a loan? Basically, it's an online application. We verify employment, and then the loan gets funded. Everything is done electronically. We verify the application, and it gets funded, and then the auto payroll deduction starts. It's a win-win for the employer. You help increase employee relationships, you help employees and their families, and you help our community because you are helping them from getting into these dead-end payroll deduction plans with the Cash America Bonds and payday loans. I thank you for your time, and I'll answer any questions if you have any at this time.
Go ahead, Dr. Escobar.
Thank you, Dr. Saavedra. Thank you, ma'am, for that excellent presentation. Dr. Montoya and Mr. Garcia, this to me seems like a wonderful program. It could be construed as an added benefit to our employees. I'm thinking particularly a lot of our classifieds might want to utilize it, but not to say that none of them, any of them could. Big difference between this type of loan and the famous payday loans, which get a little bit ridiculous sometimes. I for one, am very strong proponent of a program like this. I think that our employees will benefit from it, and I, for one, have no problem. In fact, I would like to see this implemented. I don't know what the process would be, but I just want you to know that this board member supports this program. I've actually seen it work, through other avenues, and that's why I know firsthand that, yes, this is something that I think we can benefit from.
We could, members of the board, we could put, as you stated, and you've done it, I believe, with other entities,
Yes,
an MOU, and clear it through our attorney, and then the board could make a decision as to what they'd like to do.
Do we know if there are other community loan centers out there?
We're the first of the kind, of its
Okay.
kind.
Well, that's good to know, so that we give everyone.
Because remember, we represent the 8 banks in town, the major banks in town.
But
If
they're
I
trying-
may-
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
can we get a copy of your PowerPoint presentation?
It's here on the desktop, so I think,
But administration,
Yes.
give us a printout of it.
I believe
maybe
so.
email it?
It's in the packet is what
Or
I was
email it?
told.
Maybe we can email it, Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
to the board
Along with other
members.
presentations like from the past.
Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Montoya, in all fairness to Ms. Woodfin, she did send it to us. We had trouble printing it. It was coming out all scrambled. That's why we didn't do it at the time. But I can definitely send it to you, all of you, email. Yes.
I do have a USB that I can lend you.
They'll get it through the email. Dr.
And just
Escobar.
to kind of follow up on your question, which is a great question, I know that in trying to help other folks in this community, I for one have looked into this significantly, and I found no others. So in fact, this was the only one, and like she just verified, they're the first of their type. So I think that makes it somewhat unique.
It's almost too good to be true, right? I mean,
is,
Not
it
paying
is.
the ridiculous interest
Yes.
rates.
We're big advocates, and we're at the state level lobbying, trying to get this launched on a statewide level also.
And if I may, just like Dr. Escobedo alluded to, the payday loans, it's a nightmare.
It
And
is.
then when
You
they
get
stop
caught in
and
the
think of
cycle.
it, the employees are just working to give their money back to those companies, and it's a shame. Because they
is.
become enslaved to them because they owe it all to try and stay ahead, and they never catch up.
That is correct.
So that's very true. This would be a help.
I guess the administration knows what the next step is going to be.
Yes.
Montoya? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Very good presentation. Okay, next we go to the biggie, the employee compensation plan. Dr. Montoya?
Again, we have brought this to the board previously, but we're refining it and trying to answer specific questions or concerns so that we can bring it to the whole board in order to approve the compensation plan. And I guess I turn it over to Mr. Garcia for any immediate comments, and then after that, from the board, questions and areas, et cetera.
Go ahead, Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Saavedra. Let me give you, first of all, the parameter that we're going to be working with. That way we can then go page by page eventually and answer any questions that you might have. Remember that the compensation plan handbook has been presented various times. We've discussed certain parts of it. Other times it has been tabled. The last instructions that I'm working with from the board was on that, I believe it was a June 19th board meeting where they said we're going to go ahead and approve the 11-12. We're going to keep it up until we do amendments to the 12-13. So last Monday,
The 24th, right?
Excuse me?
The 24th,
I think it was June 19th, if I'm not mistaken.
The prior to
the prior meeting?
Yes. Right. And I can forward the minutes also. So on Monday, we sent out the Budget Committee meeting, and under tab 3, you will see the employee compensation plan for the 12-13 school year. In there, you will see the highlighted areas, which are the changes. Then I took it a step further, and actually with the help of our HR staff, what we went ahead and did, and I gave it to you yesterday, and I have extra copies if you want, we went ahead and did a side-by-side comparison, comparing the 11-12 to the 12-13, and that's what we're going to go by page. Does anybody need a copy? I have extra ones that I can give
Dr.
you.
Saavedra, I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Benny.
I have the book that we had on the 24th of the meeting we didn't approve, but I have that book. Do you have it with you? Because I have questions from there.
Remember that, if I may?
Yes.
Yes, remember that at that time, we were going to present it. I did say that there were some issues with it. What I've done since is sent you the latest one, compare it to the original one. So I would, since there are so many versions out there, I would like if we could agree to this one's here, and then we can take it one step at a time. I'm going to go page by page, if you want to, line item by line item, and then you can bring in some of the questions from
But I
that.
have a question as to, and that's why, I know it's easy for you to get this book, because I know you have it somewhere if I have it. And I just have a question if I could refer.
And Ms. Peña, recall that there are different versions. So in order to expedite, we're going to, if we agree, we will go with this, the handout on the side-by-side, and the one that's in our booklet.
Okay.
If you have questions on the others, we can refer. Maybe
Okay.
they'll be answered, maybe the questions you have will be answered from that book in here.
No, and that's
Okay?
fine. As long
All
as
right.
if they're not, I have the opportunity
Right,
to ask.
yes, ma'am, absolutely, okay? All right.
May I proceed?
Is everybody okay with that, committee members?
Yes. Yes, I
This
have.
was last night, we got it in a.
Last night they gave it to us at 10, so we didn't get home till 10.
I have another one. You're talking about the side by side, right?
Yes,
Yeah, we got that at the meeting, but we didn't leave till 10:30, so. I don't know who had time to look at it. I did.
I did.
But I had to stay up late to do that, so.
Damn.
I did.
Does anyone need another?
Okay, so we're all in agreement. We have the one that is the Budget Committee meeting booklet that was sent to us by courier, and then the one that was given to us last night or today, that we have the side-by-side. Okay, all right, sir.
Okay.
Ready to go.
And so we're going to get started. The 12-13, let me just give some more instructions or explanations before we go. When we were instructed that the 11-12 compensation plan was the one that we were going to be working with, in previous versions, the 12-13 already had some positions that had been reclassified based on TASB's recommendation. Now, to make sure that we're on the same page, we went ahead and reverted everything back to the 11-12. So under tab 3, you will find 3 separate items. You will find the compensation plan, which we're going to go page by page. You're going to find the attached job descriptions for 3 of the positions. 2 of them are new. 1 of them is a reclassification. The positions that we've all talked about. has been the supervisor for plumbers, the supervisor for electrician, HVAC, and those we had agreed because of licensing issues. And then the position of instructional technology specialist, because we want to create those, because we want to close the technology lead teachers that we currently have. So the job descriptions are there. And then if you go after that to the final tab, and I just divided them in yellow, you will find these are the recommendations for reclassifications that were made by our TASB's consultants. Now, if you're going to compare them to any other version, that were embedded in there. But once we got the instructions, if you go back to the 11-12, we pulled them out. I put them here for you to consider. We can go line item by line item, and we can say, yes, do this, or no, don't do it. Once we have those approved or agreed upon, I will then embed them back on the 12-13 and have them approved, hopefully on the August 21st board meeting. So we'll understand how this is going to work out, right? Okay. Then let's go ahead and go now to the side-by-side. Unfortunately, when I copy the side-by-side, the highlights do not transfer over, but that's why we're going to be using this one to see the highlights. So page 1, or little I, Roman letter I here, that's the proposed. That's just the table of contents for the 12-13. I did not do a comparison because that will change. The changes start next page. On the left-hand side, you have the Brownsville ISD Department of Human Resource Staffing Guidelines 11-12. And then on the right-hand side, it says proposed. You have the same information, and it's page 1, and it's page 1. And if you go with the booklet that was given to you, included in the budget worksheet, you will see where the highlights are. The highlights are the changes, and those changes are the asterisks in elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools, and then the addition of the explanation for the asterisks, which is special funds may be used to lower ratios as available. Example, class size reduction, 5th grade initiative, middle school initiative, high school initiative, tips, etc. That's the changes. That's the only change on page 1 from last year, or 11-12, to page 1 of 12-13. Do I go to the next page?
Go on.
Okay, and page 2, once again, on the left you'll have the 11-12, and that's how it currently stands. And then on the right you have the 12-13. I'm going to just refer from now on to 11-12 and 12-13 and not the pages. Under the proposed, and if you go with the one that has the highlights visible, which is on the budget committee, you will see that page 2 right here, your changes are once again the little asterisks, which that says deans of instruction and facilitators are listed on page 5. Now that's a change because for the 12-13, what we went ahead and did was include the staffing formulas for the supplemental positions, those funded through federal programs, which is Title I, and those through state compensatory. But we will be able to tie them, and we can go back and forth. Under the counselors, you will see the change there where it's lined out 800, and we're bringing it down to 749, and then 750 plus. That's a change from the 800 and 801 plus. And I think that in previous conversations, this has not been an issue. So do I move on to the next page?
I have a question just in
Go
this.
ahead,
I know we have the testing coordinator at the high schools. And why do we not have one for middle schools? Or what would be, I know as a dean of instruction, full-time dean of instruction, do they handle the testing? Because it's crucial. Now, our scores haven't been too great, so I'm wondering, do they need assistance? What can be done to improve something like this?
May I, Dr. Escobar again, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Saavedra.
There's a difference,
Yes,
a slight
there
difference,
is
but there's a difference.
Those duties are normally handled by the assistant principal at the middle school. And remember, one of the objectives is that we didn't want to add many positions, and that's why we're working with.
Well, and if I might add, in the high school, there are more testing because
yeah,
of the
more
end of
tests that they
course
have to
and
take,
everything
yeah.
else, yeah. So,
And then the reason I bring this up, because I've heard at some of our junior highs, they have one principal, full-time dean, and do they have an assistant principal?
yes?
Yes.
Okay, now, that's 3. If the principal's out, it takes 2 to run the schools most of the time, because how big is our smallest junior high? Or how small is our smallest? How many children, how many students?
About 600? About 650. Yeah, about 600,
And how many of
650.
them are carrying over, 1,000?
Carrying over 1,000?
No.
Right.
Yeah, okay, now that particular school, now, do we make adjustment because of the size of the population, or?
Well, those are the numbers there. If you look at the enrollment, see what
Right.
they require for assistant principal, look at the ratio.
Right, I saw.
Go 750 to 12.
So we only have one that's over 1,000. Is that out of the, what do we have, 10? 11. I thought we had more than one over 1,000. Can we ask someone? No? Nobody?
You can ask the AAs.
Do you
They're-
guys project?
Vela Garcia?
The smallest, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Escobedo, members of the board, the smallest school that you're asking about is Manzano, and it says here 750. I could get you the numbers and come right back. Our largest middle schools, I would predict, would be, off the top of my head, Vela and Oliveda. I don't know what rezoning did to them, so I don't know.
Okay.
I can go get that if y'all want me to.
No. If you can get to us later, it's okay.
Now, one more item before we move on. Remember that at the high school, the testing coordinators remain lead teachers, so it's not an extra administrator that they have at the high school.
Right.
Okay,
That's a good point, too.
thank you.
Okay, go on.
Okay, the next page. The next page is the staffing guidelines, 11-12. You have the librarians, PE teachers, and school nurse for 11-12. And then you have for 12-13 the proposals. And again, the highlighted ones would have appeared where they're lined out. And in the past, we've discussed this. The addition to this one is on school nurses, all campuses, PPCD units, a health aide. We were in agreement. So that, other than that, you can see the changes from one to the other. Now, in the past, we hadn't had any questions on this. Next page.
Okay,
Yes.
I have a question. Teachers, we dropped those?
Yes, I saw that.
When did we do
Why?
that? I don't
Why?
recall changing that.
Why did we drop it in, yeah, I have,
They're both dropped by one, and
and why did we
they
drop
have,
it?
yeah, they
Over
have,
1,000 kids, why do we drop it?
I don't recall that one ever being discussed and dropped. Does anyone?
No, I
I
don't,
have
and I had the
on the
same
notes.
question you did, so you saved me that, the asking.
I think that was, if I'm remembering correctly, Mr. Lane presented the staffing formulas, and one of the areas where he said we could really look at was on the staffing of the PE positions.
But I understand that, and if I may, Dr. Saavedra, what's on paper and what's practical doesn't always go together. So, we're doing well with what we have, and even then,
Well-
we're overwhelmed.
Yeah, and I would have to fight for the middle schools here because I am a middle school person.
And they so
when
need-
you get them all in PE and that many at the same time,
It's,
an extra pair of eyes would not help with that age group. So
I agree
we
110%.
could, look at that and see if we can keep it the way we had it. I know it was a recommendation from them, but we're in the trenches with the kids, and middle school is a very critical age, and
That's a
that's
make
where
or
they
break.
need
That's where the
the
kids decide
supervision.
to stay or leave school.
Dr. Montoya, if I may, I will go ahead and revisit it, but this
Yeah.
is the way it was presented before. One of the conversations that we had was that we were overstaffed in the physical education area, and that's why these changes were done. Again, if we want changes,
I just remember,
I don't.
if I may, I just remember it's really difficult for me because they're looking at the teachers on paper. They're not out there in the field. They're not in middle school. Like I said, middle school is it takes a gifted person to do middle school. I will always say that. So for us to say, well, on paper, you can really cut here, and you're not out there in the trenches, I don't want to suffer and affect our teachers and our students because it looked good on paper.
Well, Ms. Longoria.
Go ahead, Mr.
No, I tend to agree with our colleagues. Yeah, I taught 10 years in the middle school, and also I taught at the high school, and then, of course, an administrator in elementary. The middle school is the hardest institution.
By all means.
And really, those kids have a lot of energy, let's call it that way.
They don't know they're coming, they're grown.
Anything is
developing.
changing, and really it's very difficult, not only discipline-wise, but also getting their attention to teach. And to me, though it's a P, it's also a teaching unit, and they need that exercise and the health. So I definitely would like to.
Yeah. If you could just revisit that. Ms. Longoria, you had a comment?
Yes. Oh, are you done, sir?
Yeah, well, I was going to tell Montoya, Dr.
go ahead.
Montoya, to go ahead and look into it, because really, what's the difference? One more unit, and I think in the long term, we can avoid those discipline problems that might happen in the playgrounds.
You can benefit a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, not
Thank you.
only at the middle schools, but the elementary as well.
Yeah.
And Dr. Montoya, have you cut any PE teachers already at the elementary campuses? Because I was told they had already cut some teachers at some of these elementary
Not
campuses.
that I'm aware of. And I asked Dr. Atkinson.
Any
who was
principals
there.
here?
Anybody in HR?
Is your time to speak?
Anyone
So
here?
we haven't cut anybody
No?
at that area.
Have you heard? I haven't heard of that.
Well, I think one of the campuses was at Southmost or Canales, one of those that they had cut due to enrollment.
Enrollment, based on enrollment.
Doctor,
The numbers are there. Obviously, they'd be eligible for more, right?
right, again, Dr. Montoya, if I may, the staffing ratios for the elementary level remain the same. Yes, there is a possibility that with the projected enrollments that we move some positions around, that is a possibility, but to say that we, cut for cutting sakes, no, that not to the best of my knowledge.
Now recall that in the middle schools, they have to have up to 1,000. Now, we're only talking about maybe 2 schools that this will affect.
Right.
So, it's not that many personnel that we would bring back. Saying?
Doctor,
Yes.
thank you, ma'am. ¿Cómo te gusta? Dr. Montoya, I'm pretty sure that some of them will be cut on account of enrollment because that's a ratio. But I'm pretty sure the administration will look into it if the enrollment increases during the year.
They have it.
And let's look at it. I mean, let's just not remove them and then forget about it. And then sometimes you may, oh, yeah.
No, your point's well taken.
Just
We will,
monitor those,
Garcia, let's do
So
that.
I think you hear what the board is saying.
Yeah, well,
Okay, so.
Also, because some of these elementary students are very hyper as well,
Yeah,
you
but
could keep a very close eye on them. And just one PE teacher, I don't think is going to be able to supervise anywhere from 300 to 600 students.
they have a couple of aides, whereas the others do not. The middle school doesn't have aides. They don't have any aides, any assistants.
I've got
The elementary has the assistants.
question for Dr. Montoya and Dr. Saavedra for Mr. Garcia. I notice where it says PE teacher, middle school, page 3. You have a 4 and a 3, but there's no strike on anyone. So
Yeah.
what do you, on mine?
There's strikes, Ms. Benyon.
Not on mine,
On this one?
on this one right here. It's highlighted, but on the bottom.
The four,
For the 1,000, is it 4 or is it 3?
for 1,000,
Up
it's
to
3.
1,000.
It's 3.
There's no line in there in number 4.
There's no line, it's in 4 is highlighted.
It's the.
It's because of the 4. Look where the 4, the line
The
of the
line
4.
is-
Oh, okay, I see what you
The
did.
line is on the 4.
No, excuse me, do not make fun.
No, I'm just saying it's
And
the
you-
line of the 4.
I didn't see it clearly. I wanted to make not to be made
Because
fun.
I'm visual, I can see it.
It's because
Okay.
you're a teacher. You have the upper
Exactly.
hand on us.
Teachers have upper hand.
Let
Okay,
me
sorry.
Just, no problem. Let me just regroup on this page. So you're saying for us to
It's-
explore, and I'm
Yes.
using the word explore very
Explore.
loosely,
Yes.
to see if we can go back to the previous, go
As
from
is.
3 to 4, leave it as is. Yeah, like,
For the
leave it
middle
as is.
school.
For the middle
Highly
school.
recommended.
I got it.
Highly recommended.
Super
And do
high.
your exploring very detailed.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Also, keep your eye
I'll
on the
be-
elementary as well.
Okay.
do.
And also, Dr. Montoya, just as a reminder, like Mrs. Longoria's concern was, if they're cut because of enrollment, that we monitor that enrollment as the year goes by.
And we will do that, sir.
Thank you, sir.
That's a good point.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Next
Go on.
page.
we're only on page 4. We have 50 more to go.
Okay, the next one is the band, the stepping ratios for the fine arts department. On the left, you have the existing one. If you notice on the right, which is, I'm going to switch my page, there's no changes. Everything has remained the same.
My question, I have a question on the fine arts. On the elementary, once upon a time, it read music and art teacher itinerant. Now you're giving them a choice, music and or, and then it was music and or art, and now
it's
you're
or.
saying it's music or art, boss. Pobre fine arts, come on. Where's my fine arts person? Okay, Miss Fine Arts, may we, go ahead, sir, answer first.
Yes, thank you. Remember that we've had this conversation before on music and art are required at the elementary. We've done our research. A fine arts component is required. It's not that you have to have music and you have to have art,
What did you find in your research?
that it's a fine arts
No, for
component.
the academics effect.
What do you mean by that?
Your research, what does the fine arts, how does it affect our academics for our students at the elementary level? And then the research that you did, how did it affect you in a positive?
I was looking at the requirements for the elementary.
Oh,
Now, if you
okay.
want to go, do I feel that fine arts is, that,
No,
that's
I thought
another.
you
that's
researched
another
that.
issue.
I thought you- I
No,
apologize.
just this part here. So on the new one, it's music or art teacher. So instead of and or, we drop the and it's or.
Okay. May I ask Miss Dr. Rendon to come up, sir?
Yes, yes, go.
Dr. Rendon?
Good afternoon, Dr. Saavedra, Dr. Montoya, members of the board. Just so that I can give a little bit of background on this, and I think I can clarify what the confusion is. Back in 2007, actually, Mr. Aguilar was the instigator of this project, which is a great project. We were at the point when I had come into this position. At that point, we had some of the elementary schools with music teachers and very, very few, honestly, maybe one or two that had art. When we came on board, part of our project was that we needed to get all of the elementary campuses with a music and art teacher. When you're talking about requirements, right now we are required by the state to teach the techs in elementary in music, art, and theater arts. What's coming down possibly for next year that will be approved is that dance will also be included. Where the confusion is that the state does not say you have to have a teacher for music, a teacher for art, et cetera, et cetera. Right. However, those of us that are in fine arts and the state and TMEA and everybody will back that up, know that if you want to give the quality education to our kids, you have to have a teacher that has the music background. I'll give you an example. We have a teacher that was placed in an elementary campus as a music teacher, and I kid you not, was calling my supervisor and asking them, so is the staff that symbol that they put like on that page that's in black? And do we teach for the honors choir? I'm not trying to be condescending, but what I'm saying is that I, that was a choir student all of my years in middle school and high school, could not teach what the texts require because I was not educated as a music teacher to teach those texts. So if you call the state, which I have many times, they will tell you, you have to teach the text as written, quality music education, quality art education. And if I give those texts to just anybody to teach, they do not have the background to teach it. So as our standards are in BISD and what is expected, of course, I will say You have to have your music degree to be able to teach sight reading, connotation, all of the notation that is required, because not a generalist cannot teach that. So the plan in 2007 was that we were going to build, and we had a 5-year plan that was approved by the board at that time. We were going to start with that plan to add on the music teachers that were missing and art at the same time. I was given 5 elementary positions a year. That happened for 3 years. Half of those were going to music, because right now we still have 7 elementary campuses that do not have music, and music prepares those students for middle school to choose either band or choir. Elementary music teachers have a huge job because they're preparing them rhythmically, and they're preparing them vocally as well, so the kids can choose in middle school what they want to do. So that is what we started doing. We were giving 3 campuses that needed the music teacher positions, and we were giving the other campuses art to start building the art program. Same thing, so that they are not just given a ditto sheet where everybody's coloring the same pumpkin, where they're truly learning visual arts with vocabulary, dimension, design, elements of art, because that is our foundation for everything. The reason why we're strong in secondary is because of what we build in the elementary, and I know everybody knows that. So that was the plan. The way we determined it is that it was divided by clusters. That time we had 5 clusters, high schools, middle schools, elementaries, and so we looked at the clusters, and looked at what they had vertically. If we had clusters that did not have any music teachers, obviously we were looking at those, and the second component was looking at the largest enrollment. Why? Because the largest enrollment, we would be serving more students. That's how it was determined. The principals at that time understood, and they knew, okay, that's what, like, when is it my turn? Oh, you're next in line. These were not FTEs that were counted against them. These were additional FTEs that were given to the campuses, and that is how we started building the program. 2 years ago, when the funding stopped, we did not add on anymore. We were waiting, we understand the situation that we're in, and so we were waiting for that to come back again and continue with our plan. The compensation plan did say elementary it had elementary music and or art, because it didn't mean that you had a choice. It meant depended on your campus. If I already had a music teacher, then what was I going to get next? The art teacher. So that was the definition of and or. It didn't mean that you were choosing one or the other. And so that's a major change, and I feel like we're going backwards if we don't continue. And I understand the funding, contingent upon funding. However, if we don't have that plan in place, already we're supposed to be doing theater arts, and I can tell you that it's not happening like it should be happening at the elementary campus. I'm worried with dance coming on board, because then that's another component we're so far behind.
Yeah. Dr. Rendon, how many, do you know offhand how many of the elementaries have an art teacher and how many have a music teacher?
Right now we have 7 elementary campuses that do not have music still.
7,
do not
only
have
7.
music.
All the rest have?
All the rest have a music teacher. With our elementary art teachers, we were just starting with that project. So I believe we had 11, and then 5 of those positions were cut. So that's where we are right now, with the elementary campuses having certified. When I say art, it's because they have art degrees and they're certified art teachers.
And all the research right now, I just came back from the 21st Century Conference, and all the sessions there tie in fine arts to STEM. And that's going to be the new trend. That is the new trend. And they're saying that at elementary, middle school, and high school, that if you have a STEM program, which we are implementing, and some districts implemented even at the elementary level, which I'm hoping one day we will be able to do, but I know we're implementing at the middle school, and we certainly have it at the high school. But that almost every session had that embedded in their presentations. So, and here we are, we had it, and then we cut it, and it was approved by the board.
I think we took a leave of absence when you say being considered everybody was benefit, I guess, but I think it's time that we go back and stick to our plan. It's a 5-year plan. We're 2 years behind now, And I think we should, Dr. Montoya, and what Dr. Rendon. I was going to say Villarreal, Becky.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It works.
Rendon, doctor, I know in some schools, some principals would put a science teacher or a reading teacher in music. They don't know anything about music or art for that matter, sir. It's a lot of difference. And to me, it's a shame that we supplement other sports and other after-school tutorials with additional personnel. And when we have that department that has shined throughout these years and the tremendous progress they have done in that, I would say, 7 years, and then we start cutting them. I know we need to say, well, let's take it easy, but now I think enough is enough. I think we need to start looking at it, sir.
I think
I have a question real quick on that too, because I noticed, and you might say I'm picky, and it's really hard for me to look at paperwork. Being dyslexic, you have to look twice and have certain patterns and things to help you. But when you made a comment that on page 4 there are no changes, and then Dr. Saavedra says, wait just a minute. Well, I have a little bit of an issue because there is a change, because you changed and/or to or, but you didn't highlight it. So when you took it out on the book that you have here, there is a change, and that change wasn't noted as a change. So the problem that I'm having and that I'm asking you is when you make a change, no matter how minute the change is, you have to highlight it, because otherwise it might come across as being misleading. And I don't appreciate that, because I count on you to make me aware of everything that is being changed. And I wanted to bring that up because you didn't highlight that you changed and or to or.
Dr.
Mr.
Montoya,
Garcia, you had a comment.
Remember that and I'll go back and we can listen to the tape. I said there were no changes in the staffing formula, and the staffing formula are not any changes. As far as the and or, we had talked about
Semantics.
this. Yeah, it's semantics. I mean, we've talked about this before. Let me just give you three pieces of information, and again, this is open for discussion. One, we did do a survey, actually our HR department did a survey and asked our elementary this question, and then our fine arts did a similar survey and asked the question differently. So I'll go with our survey first. If given the opportunity for an additional FTE, open-ended, we had the money, what kind of FTE would you prefer? Overwhelmingly, I would say at least 95% of the campuses said that they would prefer something in either a reading or in math or in science. Right? I mean, and that's verified. Now, if you put it the other way, if you could get an additional FTE for fine arts, would you take it?
Well, yeah. Hello.
It's how you're asking the question,
Exactly.
because it's.
But in doing so,
You want a certain
are-
result.
I take issue with that. Come on.
I do too.
Come on, guys.
On which part do you take it?
I
The way
take
you're
issue the
asking.
way you ask the question.
In other words, you're asking to get an answer that you want.
Of course,
And
as a
it's- and
principal, if I had the
that's
choice.
horrible.
But that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at the fine arts program. Yeah, it's
You have a passion for it, I can
May I?
tell.
yes, sir. Go ahead.
Smiley, you know this. When the administration is asking principals, most of the time they said, I'm going to do what they're asking me. What are they asking me? Mm-hmm. You know
Same
that.
with
You've been in the
words.
ranks.
And that's why I gave you.
And all these things that we talk about, it doesn't make sense. It's how you word the surveys, hoping, and the guys, they're smart out there on the field. And what are they trying to tell me? What message are they trying to send me?
And that's
And that is what I sometimes are resent.
And I take issue with that, Dr. Montoya, and it doesn't happen just here, it happens a lot. Because you're asking, you already have the answer you want, and you manipulate the question to get to this answer. And that bothers me because it's not a good question.
Dr. Montoya, and besides, we also give direction in curriculum. It's the board that gives direction to curriculum of the district. And I think at this point, what I'm reading, I don't know, but what I'm reading, the rest of the members are saying, that is what we want also to be included in the curriculum for BISD.
Definitely.
A sound, excellent arts department. And I don't see why the administration keep on, the administrators keep on telling us, well, they survey, we know that. What we're saying is trying to give you direction as to what kind of a curriculum we should have.
And I think we've made it perfectly clear that our early childhood and our fine arts, you can go across the state, across the nation. Those are the two programs everyone is cutting. We cannot because of our economic status and because of the population we serve. Everyone is looking at Brownsville. We just came back from CUBE, and we were the ones that were asked, how do you keep your early childhood and fine arts programs? Because those are the ones, if you track the kids, especially the fine arts kids, those are the ones where we're seeing the results. Those are the ones who are achieving, and Dr. Rendon,
Excelling.
of all the programs, is the one who gives us the data. So I think that here, I think we're saying, Dr. Montoya, let's go back to and revisit the plan that Dr. Rendon had, sit down with her and go over and see what it is that, we can do.
I think, Mr. Garcia, we're getting a very specific direction
Yes, but
among
let
the
me,
group.
Right, let me continue. Oh, go ahead.
Dr. Saavedra?
Yes, ma'am.
Please allow Mr. Garcia to finish what he was going to tell us.
Go ahead.
Right, remember, and thank you, Ms. Longoria, I did say that these are points of conversation, and what I was saying is that depending, I'm agreeing with you all, and I'm, through the back door, I guess you're all agreeing with me. It all depends on how you present the question to get the results that you're looking. That's all I was saying, and all of us are in agreement. Right. The second thing is some campuses do have a space issue. That's also a fact. And the third thing here, it's the budgetary issue. If we were to open up an additional FTE, which I'm not saying whether to do it or not, I'm giving you the cost analysis of it, that would mean approximately 36, say we already have 6, which we don't, I'm going to use 36, 37, and I'm going to multiply it at the low end at $50,000, that's with fringes. That would be an additional $1.8 million that we would have to come up with. If that's the direction that we want to go, we would need to work it into the budget.
Yeah, but Mr. Garcia, I don't think we're saying get all of them today or this year, but look at the plan and she can adjust it or make adjustments. Not probably all the elementaries will get them. The ones who are left, which are 7, you say? Not all of them might get it this year, but let's go with maybe 2 this year or 1 this year. But at least we can see that we're going in the right direction. So to go back to the plan, and maybe you can revisit that, Dr. Rendon, and look at it. Because we've already killed, you said the music program, the art program, those teachers were reassigned somewhere else, I'm supposing. So we already killed that part.
I'll look into it.
And why they were reassigned or whatever, I'm not going to go there, but just to revisit that.
I think we're hearing loud and clear, Mr. Garcia, that we need to visit with Dr. Rendon and revisit the plan. Again, we may not be able to fill all the positions in 1 year,
Exactly.
but develop a plan maybe over the next year or so, and what can we manage realistically based on the budget issue.
Thank you,
Okay.
Doctor.
Yes, ma'am.
And if we can't hire or go with full-time art teachers, perhaps we can go look at part-time teachers to start off with, to cut the cost.
You can also split one
Two
teacher for
2
campus,
schools,
for 2
yeah.
campuses.
Yeah, that
there's many options out there.
There's a lot of way to work it in.
Dr. Rendon can.
Right, we have,
And
and we
just,
usually do
Dr.
that.
Atkinson,
Yeah.
you want to share something?
Yes, I just wanted to thank you, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Saavedra. I know that we had talked about maybe a curriculum meeting sometime in September. That was one of the things that we were going to consider in terms of clustering. I know I had spoken to Dr. Dr. Rendon.
That is definitely Dr. Rendon.
About that as well, about clustering in terms of trying to keep that alive in a fashion that's manageable also for the district. So hopefully that September we can look at it, because we also like to look at our first DIC meeting and again have that go through. It's not in our DIP, it's not in our district plan or anything like that, but if it's a board goal, we can embed it, really our district goals as well.
The only thing with that, Dr. Atkinson, is that it's going to hold up this compensation plan.
Well,
You know, if
we wait till
if
then.
you wait till then, because you're going to have to look at the adjustments, how many teachers you're looking at budget-wise.
Dr.
Right.
Montoya.
If you're looking at the first phase-in is at least 5, then, that's something that Mr. Garcia can already bring in. And since fine arts works under curriculum, we can work, we had already discussed at least clustering at this point to keep that concept.
Well, and thank you, but I think that we need to just move on with what I guess, right? I mean, the school year's about to start.
Yes.
And I want to get these teachers in because a lot of them, probably a lot of them left or whatever, so our pickings might be slim. So even though we might want those music teachers, they may not be available. I don't know.
And let me ask this. She said fine arts works under curriculum. And I thought they worked side by side as a support unit. So
That's in terms of the.
Yeah, but to me, the wording is very important because people here in the district hang on to words
May I?
and they take them
Dr.
literal.
Montoya, can you just get together with?
Yes, and again, the directive, as we're hearing loud and clear, Mr. Garcia, is, and this is going to have to happen in the next day or two.
Thank you,
Because
sir.
of the
Appreciate
starting
it.
up of kids coming, visit with Dr. Rendon and revisit that plan. And I think, Dr. Rendon, you understand, we may not be able to do it all at once, but if
Right,
we get
right.
back on the plan and go from there. so-
Exactly. It's just like Dr. Saavedra said, that way we're moving in the right direction. I know Mr. Garcia mentioned about the staffing formulas, and you're right. With fine arts, the staffing formulas are fine, the way they're set up. The problem is
Thank you.
that and I'm not asking for that, and like I've said, but if you look at the staffing formulas right now and our enrollments that are huge, right now, I would need 13 additional personnel in secondary, band and choir. I just want you to know, I'm not asking for that, but I want you to know that the numbers are there because our programs are huge.
And
So-
you know, that's one program that those people never complain. Those band directors have thousands of kids in the band hall, and lo and behold, how they keep them all, organized and disciplined and whatever. I mean, my hat's off to them. But you're right. They're overcrowded, and that's something I know we can't look at that right
Doctor,
now.
not only do they never complain, they work endless hours, and they never ask for additional stipends or money. They just keep on working because they're dedicated to the music.
They have a
Dr.
passion for what
Saavedra.
they do.
One more.
May I ask Dr. Rendon? Did you write these 13 positions during your budget meetings that you had?
No, because, we weren't supposed to be adding additional personnel, so we didn't put any additional
No wish
units.
list.
No, there
Always
was a
have a
wish
wish list. Always.
Yes.
It was on your wish list?
No.
Not
May
personnel.
I, just
They
for
don't have one.
the record, I need 2 clarifications and then we'll continue. Just for the record, we did meet with Fine Arts. We went through the staffing formulas. As she said, the instructions were no additional new teachers, and that's correct. And I did meet with her personally on the budget side, and yes, there were some wish lists that were given to me, and we worked on those. So there has been some input from Dr. Rendon, and we've worked with what we've had. The only other point of clarification that I would like, and then we can move on forward, that we're looking at the staffing guidelines and the compensation. The only change that we've done has been dropped off the and/or. So if I place the and/or, would we have further, concerns with this particular wording? Or I need to get some direction, because eventually we're going to have to approve a compensation plan.
Yeah.
What
And this
I
is the
can-
only thing that has changed.
What I can do, Mr. Garcia and Dr. Atkinson, because we hadn't met like on the compensation plan per se. So I do have a proposal. I think what a lot of it comes down to is clarity in the verbiage of the way that it's written. Because even when I talked to Ms. Adata, she was like, well, you have that in your head, but nobody knows that. I understand. If it's clarified on the compensation plan, I still feel like the and/or makes sense, because that little slash in there means that you're working on with the explanation. And we can put the explanation, I can show it to you all and see what you think with that explanation, so that everybody understands, and they understand as we're receiving personnel units, how they will be distributed to the campuses. As we said before, that we look at clusters, vertical alignment, and enrollment. If that is written there, I think that should clarify everything, and the principals know, okay, we're going to get it when it's our time.
For confusion.
Right.
Okay.
You know, the only thing I'm very disappointed at the Fine Arts Department, sir, and I told her last night, we had worked on a string program for BISD. I told her last night I'll probably go to my tomb and still BISD will be working on a string program.
No, you won't.
It'll happen.
I just need money, facilities, and personnel. That's it.
Nada más. Nada
And
más.
I'll give you the string program.
So again, Dr. Montoya, if I may, for clarification,
Violin.
That's all.
for clarification purposes and for the intent of getting this approved sooner than later, let's put it that way,
Eventually.
if I put and/or, in other words, reinstate it exactly how it is, then we will be okay with it.
Yeah, with the clarification that she'll supply.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
We'll have that meeting
Explanation.
to visit with Dr. Rendon.
Yes.
Yeah,
No
I think
problem.
that'll work. Okay, now let's proceed.
Right. On page, okay, here's where, okay, the next one is page 5, and we're gonna start kind of, again, that's why I didn't wanna go through pages, we're just gonna look at the items by items, and you can highlight them, and everything's gonna be covered. If you look at your book that I gave you here, okay? In here, remember I talked about the state compensatory staffing formulas, and I also spoke about the federal programs as additions to it. When you add those things into it, okay, then page 7 compares to the old page 5. That's why if you're keeping tracks of the numbers, you skip from 5 to 7 because these 2 pages, which are the supplementary
Are new.
staffing formulas, are new.
Just for my benefit or for easier, wouldn't it have been easier just to highlight the whole heading? Because that tells you this is a whole new page. And this is what I was asking, and then I finally figured it out. Oh, because they weren't there in 11 and 12.
Right.
So maybe highlight the whole heading, which means this whole page is new.
Which I can do that, and that's why the side-by-side
There's no highlight,
comparison, I
right.
think, is going to help clarify
Well, I
some of the
think when they
issues.
give us the final for approval by the board, I think it'll have all that, disregard all the rest.
Right, and I'll highlight all,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah, highlight.
that's fair enough.
Yeah. Yes.
That's fair enough.
Okay.
So then I have a question on 5,
On 5, okay,
where we have the alternative education program teacher, the 15-to-1 student ratio and the 18-to-1. Can we work on making sure that it doesn't go above that, especially in the disciplinary? Because I've had information and it's been brought to my attention that some of these classes were being, more students were being put in because teachers were being pulled out and shuffling was going on and they were having 20 kids in there. And when you talk about discipline, it's no different than keeping them at the campus in the regular classroom than putting them in, because some of these kids need one-on-one, a lot more one-on-one. For some reason, they're not functioning in the regular setting. So can we just make sure that we stay as close as possible and not go over that rate?
Yes, we can check and make sure,
Administrative issue
follow
to
up.
make sure. The administrator has to make sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's more, we were discussing, that's more an administrative issue.
Okay,
Just to make it known to the administrators to,
And may the administrators have the comfort to come to you if their teachers are being cut and they need to cry out, help, this is not going to work, and cry out loudly without fear of retaliation. Because I don't understand why administrators don't come to the supervisors and to go up the chain of command, because I don't need to hear it. I don't. And by the time I'm hearing it is because they feel lost.
Dr. Saavedra,
yes, sir.
I think the administration, Dr. Montoya, needs to treat these programs the same as any regular school. They're not supposed to be there as a stepchild. They're just as important, those kids,
Probably more.
whatever and more important,
And they're more
whatever
at
reason
risk.
they're out there, that we need to service them and give them the best quality education. Which
They're the
please-
high-risk
Yeah.
population.
This is why you have your area superintendent. They'll help you out and they can
Hey.
monitor.
Here, Mr. Aguilar?
No, they
Absolutely.
do.
Yeah, they
You know, they go out there and monitor,
Have good
but
AAs.
they
Just to
should
make it clear
have the
to the
confidence to come to you, say, hey, something's out there, we need to look at it.
Just monitor that whole issue, folks, and we'll talk.
And I stress, you need to cry out loudly and continuously till we get the problem fixed and not abandon these
That's right.
children. You have to, because as they get older and they exit our school system, we're going to deal with them in the public. And if we fail them, we're going to reap the consequences of that failure.
About 32,000, maybe 35,000 a year for them.
Exactly.
Oh, that's horrible.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Anything else? 5 and 6?
No.
Ready? 7.
Okay, the next page used to be at the classified personnel under the 11-12 and the 12-13, and the highlighted is elementary, middle school, and high school, and that's a plus, because if you look at the old one, elementary schools was 300 to 1, middle school and high schools were 200 to 1, so we just combined. You know what? Everybody gets at 200 to 1.
I like that.
Okay,
Good.
all right. Do I move on?
Moving on.
Moving on, okay.
Go back to 6, please. I'm sorry. 'Cause
6,
yes, I didn't highlight it.
okay.
For the dyslexia, lab aid, 50 to 1. And it says all campuses. Can we make sure that all the campuses and the aides get the support that they need to get these programs to be fruitful for our students? Dr. Montoya, I just want to make that note to you that we do have someone who has an insight to a dyslexia lab and what is needed to help children who are dyslexic, because I've gotten so many calls of students being told, no, it's developmental, let's give them another year to fail. And they fail. And then after they fail, I've looked at these children and they are so down and they're so depressed, and failing them doesn't help the problem, it compounds it. So can we make sure they have the support system they need for the dyslexia lab and at the campuses and the understanding? Because to fail a child who is dyslexic thinking he'll get better with age, dyslexic children are smart enough to know there's something wrong with them, and it's a very difficult thing to carry at a young age. So can we please make sure the support is there?
Okay. Got it? Okay, page 8.
Okay, the hiring salary schedule, 11-12, and then you see the 12-13. The changes there are that before on the 11-12, there used to be like skills, PPCD, special ed teacher, and all that got combined into classroom teachers.
So they're all classroom.
Because they're all classroom
Right.
teachers, so we're
that's
putting them
fine.
all there.
That's
okay? We move on to...
Yeah, page 8, just define for me, because someone asked me this question and I didn't have the details, but I think I know what it is, but I want to hear it from you. The French benefits, we're talking insurance and things of that sort? Is that
the fringe benefits,
benefits?
it's your
The French-
health, your TRS, your...
y'all, okay, that's what someone, and I that's what I told them, but I wanted to make sure I said the right thing.
Yes.
Thank you. Just wanted to concur.
Do I go on to the next one?
Yes.
Yes, okay. The next one, there you go. On one side, you have the pay grades, and the pay grades before were 1 through 9, and now they're 1 through 8 because we don't have a pay grade 9. We did take away the range because it was 40, but everything else, the minimum, the midpoint, and the maximum stayed the same.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that.
All right. Let me keep up with my pages over here. All right. Then the next one is the Brownsville Independent School District Administrator and Special Assignment Pay Grade. Now, here's where it's going to get a little bit confusing, and that's why I provided you with highlighters. Remember that one of the recommendations that was made by TASB was that we would break up all these families into 2 groups, where you would have your educator family and you would have your business family. But if you were to go line by line item and count them, and we can actually do that, you will see that everything is accounted for from one year to the next. So I'm going to try to go with this, and if there's any questions, we can go ahead and account them. On the left-hand side, 11-12, under pay grade 1, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positions in that family. Now, if you see under the educator side, you have 2 of them. That's the AB Instructor Evaluator 1. The other 5 are going to appear on page 13, and that's where you find your other 5. Under pay grade 1, under the business management group.
Right.
And in the side-by-side comparison, I say refer back to the page 8 and page 9 of the 11-12. Okay? So we're going to go, and then if there's anyone in any particular one, we'll go ahead and research it and find it. So under pay grade 1, there you go. Under educators, it is there. Now here's where perhaps some of the confusion begins, and I'll use this. in previous printings of the compensation plan, I'm gonna use the coordinator for migrant services. As of 11/12, the coordinator for migrant services is under pay grade 2. On previous printings, that had been moved to pay grade 3. That was based on a TASB recommendation, which we're gonna go down. When the board said, no, everything remains the same, now you will notice that coordinator for migrant services remain under pay grade 2. We are going to recommend at the end of this, that we implement the TASB reclassifications. That's administration's recommendation. And then if you want to go line item by line item and say yes or no, then we'll place them in the appropriate pay grade.
And here's the question, what it fits into here, which is my pet peeve with the way I'm giving information. In previous copies, you didn't highlight this. And I talked to the attorney about it last night, and exactly what you're saying is exactly what I asked. But why is it not highlighted in previous copies until we sat there and we asked, we need to look at it, and in your previous book, you can pull it out. You didn't highlight it. And I know that we came here tonight or this afternoon and say, okay, everything else doesn't count. Well, I understand that. I just want an explanation why I was being asked a question in that manner, and now I'm being asked in a different manner. That's the only thing that I wanted to know. Why didn't you highlight it in previous ones?
Go ahead, Mr. Garcia.
Yes, Dr. Montoya, and the answer for that is because remember when TASB did the presentation back, and we're talking now in January and in February, the reclassifications of these positions were discussed. At that point, I felt, and I'm going to say administration felt, that yes, it was okay to move on and that we could reconsider or reclassify some positions. At one point, we had even individuals that said, well, really, this position is me, and I'm really supposed to be in 6. And
I understand that completely.
So because of the earlier presentations and no objections to the earlier presentations, since they're not new positions, they were reclassified positions, and we were highlighting new positions. Those are the instructions that we were given. Highlight new positions.
Well, then let me restate it. Highlight any changes.
And that's what we're going to do.
Highlight any changes.
That's what we're going to do once you agree to which ones you want.
I do apologize. We're playing with words, and I don't appreciate that. Then highlight any changes.
In the recommendation from TASB, that coordinator for migrant services is recommended to go to a 3.
That's
pay
correct.
grade 3. Now, then there won't be anyone on pay grade 2?
That would be, let me see that. That would be,
The business, do we have anything?
No, I'm talking in the educator and program job, page 10.
I'm under 2.
Yeah, but there won't be.
no, I don't, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dr. Atkinson.
Dr. Feather, if you remember that we actually had recommended at the time that the evaluator 1, we moved to a 2.
Well, that was my
because
next
of the-
question.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, I know that we had discussed that the evaluator 1 was going to go into 2, and the evaluator,
Then you already have evaluate 2 that would be on a 3. What was happening is you were moving at least the
oh, you were
1.
moving the
one to at least a
1 to
2.
the 2.
Yes, ma'am. And that was the
Remember
one of the
that? I remember that.
recommendations.
I remember that, but
Here's
that do for us when it comes
may
to
I
money?
add to that? Here's the clarification and the confusion that it'll create, and that's why I did not include it. And all this, if you want to hold somebody responsible at this point, you can. I'm the one who you can hold responsible. If you like it, you can thank the staff from HR because they really did a fantastic job. But
They're over there shaking their head. Don't throw us in there, he said.
No, the positive. But if you
Under
do
the bus.
put, let's go with that scenario, and then we say, okay, we're going to need to have an evaluator 1, now an evaluator 2 in pay grade 2. Well, I know that that's not a new position, but in essence, it did not exist. So is it a new position? And if it is, then where's my job description? What's the financial? See what I mean?
Yes.
So that's why, at this point, those quote-unquote new positions, although they were reclassified, I did not include them because we've been telling the board that it was only going to be the plumbers and the
Right.
HVAC.
Okay, but so then go back to, then the evaluator 1 could be reclassified to a pay grade 2.
If that's what you all are willing to support. Now, it's going to be, individuals, existing FTEs. Now there's going to be one in a two. The other one was the accountant. There was an accountant too.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to be caught, hey, here you're trying to sneak a new position, because it really is
Yeah.
not per se,
No, it's
but
not.
it is.
Yeah.
So you give me the direction, and I'll do.
And how many are we talking about?
It was several. I don't have a list. It was maybe
Two?
No, it was about two.
But doesn't it change their pay?
Yes.
It's an increase, right? So it is a pay raise in a sense. So what does that do to us because we start moving people up? Because the objective is this year to save money.
What was the reason that one's under 1 and the other pay grade 3?
Exactly.
I mean, that's what I'm looking at.
There's a big jump
Why?
What, between pay grade 2 and pay grade 3?
for the evaluator.
Number 1's in 1 and number 3's in 2. And 3. I'm sorry. Number 2's in 3.
Again, based on the old test, when TASB came the first time around and did the evaluation, this is.
When did we
this is-
approve for TASBs?
No. Remember,
We never
we're-
have.
No, sir. We, if I may, we never, when that presentation was made, I don't know where anyone read that we agreed with it at all or even a little bit. I don't know where that was read from us, and then it was all implemented, and you said, well, this is what we got from you, and this is what we did. We never indicated.
No,
If
but
you
this
recall,
one-
go ahead, Ms. Longoria, clarify it.
This one, evaluator number 2, but it's been at pay grade 3 since 11-12 or prior to that. So why did they do that? I don't know.
Why the big jump?
Yeah, why evaluator 1 pay grade 1 and then it jumps evaluator 2 to pay grade 3? It doesn't make sense.
And if you move them, it's a salary increase.
What's the job description? Is there a big difference?
Yes. Well, I don't know.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Montoya. Dr. Svedra, if you remember, some of the discussion really rests on what we were getting out of assessment, research, and evaluation, because the importance of that department right now being able to provide better direction, also to do program evaluations, there was a need at this point. The pay grade 1 position is a base level position, requires a bachelor's, very little technical skills are being required. The evaluator 2, which is on pay grade 3, then requires additional experience and expertise. And the idea at this point is and I know that there's someone existing in that position right now, but in terms of the expectation for that position, we have not only bilingual evaluations that are required by the federal government, we also have all our state programs that are required. And the significance of those requirements is what was dictating that should have been actually, they were even thinking about that being a level 3 and the 3 being a 4. But given the amount, well, again, but you look at throughout the state what these positions are being required, and let me just finish the statement on this point, is that, there are some positions that we're requiring above and beyond the scope of that position. And the idea at this point is that they were recommending that you consider moving that position from a 1 at least to a 2, again, to be able to better align the requirements of that position with and the responsibilities of that position with their pay level.
If I may, Dr. Saavedra. There's so many doctors, Dr. Rendon, Dr. Saavedra. We're blessed with so many doctors that we get them confused, so I apologize.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Really Dr. Montoya. Okay. Man, I lost my train of thought. That's so sad. Okay. We are who we are because we do what we do. And right now, everyone across the state was laying people off like you have no idea. Vámonos, out. Because they had the pay scale that couldn't support their staff. So I appreciate that they're saying, well, this is what they're paying over there. But guys, over there it costs more to live. It's different. We are who we are because we can maintain our salaries with our employees and keep our employees. And to say is, well, I give you more responsibilities, and I understand. We're looking at people making $17,000 a year. You want to raise them? I'm okay. You got people that are making $95,000 a year. Well, we got more responsibilities, more money. It's really hard to swallow that pill. I don't want us to be compared to the rest of the state because we're doing better than the rest of the state. And I know we're dying to justify it, but we need to look at our budget, and I don't want to see that next year we're in trouble. and we're going to have to cut people off. And let me tell you, the people at the top aren't going to worry about cutting the people at the bottom. But I worry because those are the people that are our foundation and are in the trenches and are in the front lines keeping us going. So I don't want to be compared to what they say we should be paying. It's working for us. It's not broken. Why are we trying to fix it?
Mr. Garcia, you had a comment.
Dr. Montoya, I think that we're in the same page. Maybe we're
Yeah.
not communicating because look at 11 and 12. Pay grade 1, 11 and 12, forget about TESB or anything that I've said. 11 and 12, you have an evaluator under pay grade 1, and you have an evaluator 2 under pay grade 3. All we're doing is transferring over, and we're agreeing with what you're saying, and we're saying we're not going to move it because if we moved it, then it would have quote unquote be a new position or raises or things of the sort. So we're just keeping it the same. So I don't know what the argument on that one would be.
Well, on the ones that you're moving, like the ones that you're moving on the back page where I read, where you do want to move pay grade, the coordinator for migrant services from pay grade 2 to 3, because you make the recommendation on the back. So there is some movement recommendation. So
Yes,
please.
if I may,
Uh-huh.
but on their proposal,
He still
they
has
put
it
it in
under-
grade
Under 2.
2. Same thing with the evaluator
Under
1.
two.
They put it on 1. Evaluator number 2.
He hasn't
they
moved
put
anyone.
it on.
I understand, but on the back page, if you read what he put,
Not there to the back.
They're
If
gonna
we,
recommend it,
if we
but
approve it.
well, I'm putting
obviously,
one
we're
with
saying, let's keep it the status quo.
Okay, okay,
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, and it is
Yes, sir.
the status quo.
okay.
Right now, it is the status quo.
Okay.
That's
For
correct.
now, just leave it like
All
that.
right, so let's go on then.
Okay, so there we go, pay grade 1 through pay grade 4. I'm going to turn the page, and we'll go to the next one, and you will see pay grade, again, continues because the family was not broken up into two sub-families, so you have pay grade 4 and pay grade 5. On the other side, under the 1213, I want you to notice something under the 1213, which is page 11. Oh, let me see. Let me go to page 10. Yeah, before I before I flip the page, I got ahead of myself. Go to page 10 on the book, and you can do the side by side. Remember that I
Oh, the
told you that
stamp?
the highlight. We are recommending, and I thought we had already, at least board consent to propose it, where our stamp administrator needs to be 226 days. Okay? So that's why it's highlighted.
So only their days were changed.
Only the day. It's
Okay.
still a pay grade 4, which is an assistant
Yeah.
principal. The other one that we're proposing,
That's a new position, right?
no, it's
On 2011,
Just the days. Look in the book.
it used to be an assistant, Missini.
Principal.
you renamed it,
Yes, renamed it.
reclassify, whatever you want to call it.
Re-
It's
renamed
different, the change. It's been changed, because it's not over here on this one, that's
Oh,
why.
yeah.
But that's why we highlighted the days. If you want to, we can highlight the position. It's a
Yes,
rename.
that's
Okay.
exactly what I'm asking.
No
All
problem.
changes.
Yeah, the administrator for stamp?
Yeah, it wasn't on this, it's not on 1112. But it's not highlighted as
Right,
new.
because she used to be an assistant
It was an
principal at
assistant
Hannah.
principal.
But you,
And it's a level 4.
They just renamed
It's the
it.
same
but you
level.
created a new title, so if you highlight it,
Okay.
it's a new title added into that pay grade.
No problem. That's why we're having this meeting. No problem.
I'll say the same thing over and over, and I'll say
And
it
then
again.
the next one is the assistant administrator for library and media services. That one was a pre-existing position. We are recommending that it goes up to 226.
What was it before, the pre-existing, where was it in the?
It's right there, 203. On page 8, it gives you 203.
Extra days, which they do need.
Yeah, okay.
Yes? No?
Yes, yes.
Yes, go
Okay.
on.
Go on. Then now I'm gonna go to the other page, and I was about to go to page 11 on your side-by-side, which is under the 1213. If you notice, supervisor for athletics for special children and athletics for middle school has been lined out. That means we're removing that position.
Tell me why.
Oh, hold on, let me go to page over here. This was the position that went into special, where is Ms. Penny, right? Supervisor?
Supervisor
Oh, yeah.
for athletics.
No, this one became,
yes,
this became a special education, I'm calling it wrong. A special-
Where was it
administrator.
before on 2011, 2012?
That's a good
is
question.
it?
Go to 2011, 2012, and it should be on.
Page 11.
No,
Yes, no, that's on the proposed, we're taking it out, but she wants to see it, where
Oh.
is it in the old one?
2011.
No problem, I'll show you that. If you go to page 10, flip the page, and it's right there, supervisor for athletic for special children and athletic
Oh, yeah,
for
the
middle
very
school.
bottom.
The very
Pay
last
grade
one.
5.
We're crossing it over to the new one to show you that it was pre-existing, but we're lining it out because we're not going to have it for 12-13.
Okay, I have a question on that. I really do, because it says supervisor for athletes for special children and athletes for middle school. So, and that to me is very crucial, especially the middle school and the special children.
Is that the one that they have on track and Olympics?
Special
thing?
Olympics.
Special Olympics.
Is that the guy?
But it's still
person?
being conducted, right? I mean, it still has, and the person is still
Remember
there.
when the individual was moved, she retained the duties under the
Oh, okay.
supervisor for special services.
Okay, but what about the middle schools? Because she used to, see, I noticed that she's whispering all the information to you. So what can she tell us, what about the athletics from middle school? Who's handling that now?
See,
Who's handling that now? Because middle school, we go back again. It's a very sensitive part of their lives.
Who's
So
handling
who's
that?
coordinating that? Who's the one that's coordinating everything for the middle school?
but they have the athletics, right?
Right.
It's just the athletic part.
Right? Is there someone?
Okay, the Special Olympics is being handled
Yes,
by.
it's
okay.
special ed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been handled.
Okay, and here, and here's where I get kind of a little bit confused. The middle school, remember, we said that our athletic director and our coordinators and all
They had
those are
enough
going to
people.
handle
That's
that.
That's
going to
correct.
be their responsibility to
Yes,
make
that would be
okay.
their
Yeah.
Because that, I
responsibility.
mean, that was clear from the
Yes.
board.
Okay.
I remember.
So we would not add a
Remember that.
position of any kind.
Okay. Just make sure that they take care of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And they emphasize
Yeah.
the importance of this.
I know that we talked about it and TASB on the pay grade 5. We did say that, and I know that it's a recommendation that you're proposing, but in a lot of the districts, the administrator for assessment, research, and evaluation is a pay grade 6 because they're involved in the curriculum now with the end of course testing. Their role has changed. They'll do the evaluations and everything else. So that's something I would like, and it falls right under the superintendent. So I'm saying it's pretty comparable to the instructional technology administrator, the elementary curriculum, probably at a higher,
That's one of the
secondary and elementary.
It's one of the recommendations.
I know, but since we're saying I just want to
Yes.
allude to that's going to be highly one of those.
Again, once
Yeah.
we go through and you say, yes, highlight this one, then I'll
Like this one's
remove
okay,
it and
this one- yeah, we
highlight
can say
it.
This one's yes, this one's
Th-
no.
This one would be okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I like
I'm
that
not going to mark it until we get to the other section to make
Feel
sure
free
that.
to
we-
mark it now.
Feel free to mark
Feel
it.
free to mark. We're very clear in what we say.
Okay.
Trust me.
And if we have the money, don't just say yes. and
It's
when
not
we-
yet because it's a starting.
It's a starting. So
Okay.
the answer is yes there.
So we continue?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Then.
Go
Good.
on.
Oh, okay, the next one is, again, it continues, pay grade 5, pay grade 6, under 12-13, pay grade 6, pay grade 7, no positions. We've talked about that history before.
Yes.
And now we're there. Let me flip my page here, make sure that there's no highlighted, so there it is. I'm going to move on, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the second part here,
What page are you on?
The business.
I'm on page 11 of the 11-12, which had a pay grade 7, no positions, that
Right.
transferred over. Pay grade 8, it had the assistant superintendent
Yes.
and
The staff attorney.
and the CFO and the staff attorney. And you will see that pay grade 9, staff attorney got moved to pay grade 8, but we'll go on. So if you notice, page 12 of the 12-13, there's your administrator for curriculum, and under pay grade 6, no changes. 7 remained the same, no current positions. Under 8, previously you had 3, and now you have 2 because the CFO is now on the family of the business side.
And the attorney's on another,
It's on the
on the
business side.
business. Okay,
Okay?
very well.
Okay, now we're gonna go to the business side. And there, under pay grade 1, there are the rest of the positions that were over here.
Okay, go back to 13.
Page 13?
Yes.
That's where we're at, Mama.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, page 13. Okay, the pay grade,
Thank
we
you.
counted the positions, and those are the ones that were left over that were not accounted on the program, on the educator side.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, pay grade 2, internal auditors remain. Now, if you go over to page 13 on your books and the highlights, there are the two positions that we've provided you with job descriptions. The supervisor for maintenance, electrician HVAC, and the supervisor for maintenance plumber. Those are new positions, they're highlighted, and we have included the job description. Then on pay grade 4, I highlighted, because it has been a question before, what is business software specialist? Is that a new position? And the answer is no. It used to be before called under pay grade 4. It used to be called the BITech.
On what page?
Let me look for that. Yes.
Oh, yeah, but
No, where he's going back.
Yes, on page 9 of the side-by-side, if you notice, it says pay grade 4 continued BITech specialist. Since we're not BITech, it's really business software specialist.
Yeah.
It's the same person. We highlight it because it's a
So
name
it's a
and
new
shame.
title.
It's a new title, same position, same pay, same days, everything. Okay?
Just like this whole page is a new,
Yes. Do you want it? Do you want the
Highlight.
title highlighted?
Yes, because
just
if
the
it's-
title.
yes, because it's new. That way I know I can't compare it to my old book and I couldn't find it because it didn't exist.
I'll highlight all the business. Actually,
I was looking. I was looking.
that you knew that.
okay. I'm gonna highlight the titles of the change in the families. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
New group.
Going to next page is page 14, and if you notice, that's another one. There's two changes. If you go with the one in your booklet, one of them is the administrator for budget. We went ahead and deleted it out of there, and we combined it with the finance.
Right.
Right? Okay. And then under staff attorney, there was an adjustment to the days, which is now 226, and also it's now under pay grade 8 as opposed to previously, I think it was a pay grade 9, right? Pay grade 9. Before it was in 11, pay grade 9, 230. Now it's pay grade 8, 226. So we highlighted the days because they did decrease. Questions? Do I continue? Yes.
You changed it from pay grade 9 to 8?
That's correct.
Did your pay change as well?
The number of I believe so.
Days.
The days?
Because of the days.
It was at
yes.
220.
It was a 230.
230.
Oh, so now you're working 226.
Yeah, so we decreased.
Yeah, we'll see.
It was a decrease. Okay.
And it was
what
a 9, and it was a 9 because of the 230, right? Is that why you made it a 9?
Probably.
What was the reason?
That's where it was always,
Oh, okay.
since forever, pay grade
So
9.
pay grade 7, you're going to leave it blank?
Yes, pay grade 7, there's no
What
position.
used to be there before?
The AAs.
CAAs.
Okay.
In the other family, not in the business world.
What pay grade are they now?
Already left. It
Oh,
confuses.
the
AAs.
AAs
I
or
got it,
pay
but
grade
it's
8.
confusing.
The area superintendent, before there
AA.
used to be a difference between an area superintendent and an assistant
And
superintendent.
then we had a deputy.
And then you had a deputy, which was
New-
on
new-
9.
Yeah.
Group in charge, new titles. That's the confusion.
Well, I
No,
think
but this
the
is the same title.
No. This is the same, but
Oh,
it changed
right.
from back
the
then.
CFO should remain pay grade 9.
The CFO has always been a pay grade 8.
Let's see, what is the recommendation?
It's to remain as.
There's no recommendation.
Leave it alone, Lucy. Leave it alone.
I thought I saw it as a 9.
No, the CFO, the only 9 previously
Was the
was a
deputy.
staff attorney, and yes,
The deputy.
Oh, the deputy.
CFO has always been
All right,
a
it's
pay
too many
grade 8.
numbers. Our eyes
Better
are
put that
big.
one in.
I know, no,
I
no.
want to give you a raise,
Yeah.
Smiley.
No.
I'm just kidding.
At this time, I will humbly decline.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay,
Okay,
Nothing to
let's
kid about.
All right,
all right, let's go.
wait till we get to the staffing formulas.
Okay, let's
What
go
page are
on
we at?
then. I am going to flip the page, which is 15.
On this position.
Almost aquí. Let me catch up to here. Okay, if you notice, previous 11, 12, it used to be page 12, and it's grown because of the additions and the divisions, so now it's page 15. That has stayed the same. No changes, no highlights. Okay, let's go on to the next one.
Let me ask you, on these therapists, are we okay and comparable to their salaries? I mean, because I know they do a lot.
Low
We're lower?
We're on the low end.
A little bit, but not drastically lower. Okay, I'm okay then. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we also
They're very
pay
viable.
stipends, remember?
Excuse me?
We also pay them a stipend, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay?
Just
I
checking
have
my
a
therapist.
question, Dr. Saavedra.
Okay.
This high school coordinator for athletics, is that the same as athletic coordinators? Is that the same? It is the same?
The offensive and defensive coordinators.
But then there's a head coach.
Right. again, if you notice in 11, 12, and 12, 13, those are the high school coordinators for athletics, which I think
The
is...
head coach of the school,
The
right?
head coach of the
Is that what that
school.
is?
Right, Mr. Haynes?
Yes,
Mr. Haynes?
yes.
Yes, that's the head coach.
I have confirmation by Mr. Kepkes, yes.
Everybody at the audience is going yes, so they all know. Ask the audience.
Okay.
Like the little dogs on the...
I just thought maybe there were more coordinators.
Wait, I'd like to ask the audience.
The little
have all
dogs
the
in the back of the
answers.
cart and those. Okay,
Okay,
let's go.
so I'm gonna flip the page now, and it's gonna be, the next page on the 11, 12 compensation plan is 13, which really is now on page 16 of the new one. Okay? And on page 16, you will see that it is,
I don't have a 16.
We don't have 16, so we go from 15 to
From
17.
15, it jumped to 17 in my book.
okay.
My book too. So how did you
I
forget?
mean, it's, if you go on the
Have a
side,
16?
on the side by side, yes.
Yeah, it's on the side by side. Not in the
But
book.
not in this one.
I'll get you one right now.
That works.
Oh, which is the JROTC?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, I mean, I have it in the, I guess when I copied it, it just.
Yeah,
didn't-
and that's okay, you can put it on the new booklet. I don't need it now.
That's fine.
It's fine.
We have it
Okay,
here.
on the, you have it on the side by side.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
fine.
And it's, the page is sequential, so.
Okay.
Okay, any questions there?
No,
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next one, and now this is page 17, which is the old page 14. If you notice, once again, the class, pay grades are the same, the minimum, midpoint, and maximum are the same. The changes were, we did away with the range, but that's because it was not, you don't need that.
I have a question.
Yes,
Why does it start with MT2 and no 1?
because there's no empty one.
there's no empty one.
And I mean, for real, and when we
I know
go-
there isn't, but how do we do that?
Well, hold on.
Some we started
maybe-
with pay grade 1, and on this one we started with the
We
MT.
do have an
Yeah,
empty
that's what I
one.
was checking out. That's a good thing.
We have an empty one.
So are they working for free? That's what I wrote down on my piece of paper.
Another category.
Because
Oh, yeah, no problem. I have the answer.
Oh, yeah,
The
it is
reason
another-
empty ones is because if you notice, it's TBD. These are your part-times and your substitutes and
Yeah,
all that.
yeah.
so they're not
Right.
right. They're
There's
not
no-
regular.
won't fall
Okay,
in
you're
there.
right.
Yeah, that's why it's TB.
If you can put that in parentheses, because this book, if anybody wants to come in and ask for public information and
A note
request
on
it,
there, I guess,
they
just
can.
Empty.
Put
Can you
an
put
empty one and then
Empty
an
one,
explanation?
Yes.
Yeah.
That way,
Empty one and an explanation. And you want I'm going to highlight the explanation because that's going to be new.
You can do a little asterisk or whatever.
Part-time.
Okay, a little asterisk?
Employees.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
would
that-
say
I
add it
think-
on the
yes.
chart and just put a little asterisk. That way you don't have to redo a whole page.
Got it. Okay, that's a very good suggestion.
Thank
and I'll
you.
that way
incorporate it.
they'll know why it's not as part of the pay
Right.
Okay.
scale.
So there's the empty 2 through 8 compared to the empty 2 through 8. They're the same with the exception of the range, which is no issue. And I will put the empty one with a little asterisk.
And you just put
explain it.
TBD, like you have there?
Right.
As the salary? Mhm.
Right. Okay.
Part-time.
And emphasize next to the empty part-time, like don't use acronyms because not everyone is familiar with all the acronyms.
Employee or something.
Oh, after the empty one, yeah, just put in parentheses part-time.
Yeah, 'cause not everybody
Then
knows
the
what
others,
PT
they'll
is.
know the other categories could stay PTs
Yeah, because some PTs are physical trainers. So let's define.
or physical therapists.
There's a lot of PTs.
Okay. All right.
Okay, got it.
Got it? Okay, let's go to the next one.
Oh, I have a question on 18.
On which one?
18?
We're
We're
there
not,
yet.
Oh,
we're
I'm
barely
sorry.
gonna go there.
I jumped.
Okay.
Sorry.
On 18, here's 18. 18 compares to 15 before. I have no highlights, no changes. That remain the same. So your question would be?
My question would be on the old one,
Which one?
for the 2011,
Which is page
2012?
15 in the old, in the side-by-side.
Right.
Okay, no, I just found my answer. Disregard.
No problem.
I looked for it all yesterday.
So
I just found
there's
it.
no change, so I'm gonna go on to the next one. The next one is going to be 16, which compares to 19. Again, no changes. Moving on to the next one is going to be the old 17 is now the new 20. Again, no changes. It winds up at the end with empty 8, and you have all the positions there, special note, the whole thing. Okay, going on to the next one is going to be page 18 of the old one versus the new one. Again, CA 12 through CA 19 are the same. 850 through 1703 is the same. The range is the only thing that's taken off. May I move on? Yes? Okay. Under page 19, under 1112, you have the CA 12 all the way on down to CA 14. Everything went back. Nothing has changed. We do have some, I think, some recommendations at the end, but at this particular point, it is as is from 1112 to 1213. No highlights on days or anything of that sort. Going on to the next one is your page 20 versus page 23. Again, no highlights. Everything stayed the same.
Where is it in, I know we're going comparison, but tell me what page it is on the book that
On
you
the
gave
new one
us.
or on the old one?
On this one.
It's page 23.
And the side-by-side is 20.
And right, the old one is 20.
Dr.
Okay,
Saavedra.
because I had
Yes,
some
ma'am.
questions on 22, tell me when you're there,
Okay.
on this book.
Oh, then let's go back because we're already past
See,
it.
so if you work with all three, it will help me, because if you're only going two and you're missing this one,
Okay.
you're
Page-
not, because the pages don't match at all.
Okay, let me have Ms. Longoria. What was your question on
Yeah.
that page?
What pay grade are the special ed teacher aides? And remember, we had kind of mentioned if you could look into maybe changing their pay grades.
And again,
life
correct me if
skills.
I'm wrong, I said that yes, we would incorporate it into this year for the upcoming school year. Unless but I think that that's
Yeah.
what. But
Okay, great.
I'll tell you where they're at. There will be over on, let's see here. If you go to page 27 of the new one,
See, there's changes on
that's where
23.
you will. That's where you have it's under the instructional support.
Oh, yeah.
position.
Okay, we're not there yet.
But here's the thing, and that's my question, because there's some on page 22 under clerical administration that have been moved to instructional support, IS, like 31, 37, ADA?
Let's go down that road. That shouldn't
Okay,
happen.
page 22 in the spiral.
We'll highlight it then.
Okay, 22,
Where is 34, 31?
34, 31,
Is that new? Where did it come from? The Braille transcriber.
34, 31, Braille.
Where
It's
is
right
it?
there. It's
On
if you
20,
on 19, it's the second one. 34, 31, Braille transcriber. 22 on the side by side.
Right,
34,
okay.
31, Braille transcriber. It's the same thing.
And the 31, 37?
31, 37 on what page, ma'am?
I'm on, and listen, we're going a little too fast without the pages.
I mean, I'll slow it down. On the side by side, if you go to page 19, that's where you read the Braille transcriber. 19 compares to 22,
22.
and it's there on the same pay grade, same position control number.
And just to clear, why did the font get smaller and smaller in this book?
That's a very good
Oh
question.
my God! I thought I was losing my vision.
And
It got
I'll-
smaller and smaller.
That's a good question. What was happening was that we had the original book broken up into 3 different files. And every time you would adjust one file,
I know.
sometimes we would forget to put.
Yeah.
So based on, again, my instructions, and I apologize for that if it came across wrong, I said, put it all in one file, and they standardized the font, and the whatever you call it, the wording or
The
the
font.
type of.
It's a font.
Yeah, the font. And that's why you see that. If you want it expanded, but right now it lines up pretty close to page by page. But
Okay, as long as I have an explanation, and that way I'll know what to look out when you hand me stuff that's gonna get smaller on me. I'm okay. Like if you make me aware, it's easier to read. I'm sorry. I'm very picky on the lines. 'Cause-
So do I move on from 19?
yes, please do.
Yes.
Don't
okay.
laugh. There's a lot of people that have that issue.
Okay, page 20 versus page 23, and I'm going over here, page 23. No, I don't have any markings on the spiral.
On
It's the
page
same thing.
23, right?
Right,
20 on the side-by-side.
yes. Which are your clerical administrative pay grades. Okay, I'm gonna move on. The next one is,
Okay, a question, just a quick question on definitions
Yes.
of a description. On human resource officer and position control officer. Are these work under HR?
yes.
Okay. That's what I need to know. And the driver trainer on CA 16,
CA 16.
does this encompass
trainer?
our transportation department and our manual trades department? Do we have a driver trainer that covers all of them, or is this just for the transportation department?
For transportation.
Okay, do we have a driver trainer who trains our people who drive the rest of our vehicles?
As far as I know, no. It's only
You know, like for safety and you know, how to drive and not, because remember, they got BISD on the doors. Anything they do, any wrecks they go in, they
They have to go through training, no?
so what
They
kind
have
of
to be-
training?
They have to have a license.
A license.
No, I understand they have to have a license, but they're driving somebody else's vehicles, the district, which is funded by
I
taxes.
would think your safety person.
Coordinator. They could get some kind of driver training.
Right. We do have safety training
Okay.
for the white fleet.
Okay.
Have some. Each department does their training.
White fleet, that's the one I'm talking about, the white fleet.
But for buses,
See, we don't know your verbiage, so I could.
for buses, as far as transportation, we do have driver training because they do have to renew their license.
And the other one's the yellow fleet. Yes?
Yellow fleet.
Oh, thank you.
Isn't it yellow fleet?
That makes sense, thank you.
Okay.
Answers my question.
Do I continue?
Yes, please.
Okay. We're on page.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Sorry. Funding codes for instructional and clerical positions are subject to change. Explain that to me.
Funding codes, the funding codes is on the position control, the 3471, 3591, and things of this sort.
And why would they be subject to change?
It could be subject to change for various
Because of the
reasons.
funding, or some is now going to be funded by a grant as opposed to our general fund?
That's correct.
Okay, that's an explain.
Do we continue?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next one is going to be page 21 of the old one versus 24 of the new one, or the side-by-side or the spiral, whichever you want to call it, and that's your TEs, which is your technical specialized salary pay grades, T22 through T27. The new one is T22 through T27. Once again, we're being consistent. We took away the range box, and it's the same.
And just out of curiosity, how come on this one you start on 22 and not 1?
Let's go over here.
Probably a part-timer too. Do we have
Because,
part-timer?
no, on this one, I can actually say because there is no TE21.
Well, I understand that, but why do we start with the 20s? I'm just curious. Is this for coding purposes?
I would have to research.
Or
Is
easier
there-
is it easier just to identify what?
Use one of my lifelines.
Yes.
So, yeah,
We already.
Go ahead.
Well, while I use my audience, you can use your lifeline.
Kepke, maybe you can answer that.
We needed that break.
Why aren't there like 21s, et cetera?
Yeah, yes, sir. Good afternoon,
Afternoon.
Dr. Montoya, Dr. Saavedra, and committee members. To answer your question is because when you looked at the first question, when you looked at MT1, we have some part-timers there. So we could keep every single scale aligned to the 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7. So that way we can have the CA12, the TE22, and then
okay.
you would look at the IS has an IS32.
So it won't confuse with the other.
Right.
Okay, thank
So
you.
so you have it aligned, every single pay scale's aligned.
Okay,
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kepke.
It's a lot of
I'm gonna
sense.
move on to the next one, which is the old 22, which is the new 25. And again, I don't have any highlights on my spiral, which means there's no changes. That remained the same. It's your T22s to T27s. Everything's the same. I'm gonna go on to the next page, which is the old 23 versus the new 26. And again, those are now your IS, which is your instructional support salary pay grades. It's IS 31 through IS 36, the same thing over here, except for the range that we took off.
I've got a question, I guess, and it goes back to 25. Your asterisk at the bottom,
Over on page 25? okay.
25 of the spiral, where the asterisk at the bottom, and I agree with it. I'm not saying it's just that I guess there was nowhere to put them because the starting pay is in between the 25 and 26. Is that why we have that asterisk where the attendance officer and the police officer start at that which is higher than what the start of the minimum in P25? Was that done because they're in between a salary? Read your asterisk. On page
I've read the asterisk here where it says police officer and school attendants,
Right.
police officers, the starting is 1535.
Right.
Yes, because it would be, if you notice, the TE 25 starting is 1424, so you're saying we're going to start them at 1535.
Oh, okay, so, and that's
That's
just
why-
okay.
Right, that's why that note is there.
Yeah, because I know that your midpoint, minimum, and maximum, wow, that's tough. That's confusing. Thank you.
On, we were on old page 23, new page 26, which is your IS 31, which is instructional support, 31 through 36, same thing on the proposed, changes the range.
Question, how come on page 26, IS 31, 31 minimum, max doesn't change?
Because those are part-timers.
Part-timers, right.
Okay.
Yeah, if you notice on page 27, which is the next page, the IS 31 are your part-timers. Part-time lifeguard, swim instructor, substitute lifeguard.
Okay, and I like the way, I don't understand why, if you look on page 27, 3146, tutor grants, and you parentheses, part-time, nice and neat, why not do it to the rest? Do you see how it throws off, like maybe PT doesn't mean part-time because you defined it on one of them and on the others you didn't?
On which one, ma'am?
On page 27, the part-time, the pay
On
grade,
page 27, okay.
on the 30,
Under tutor/grant, part-time,
yes, you put part-time, which is real clear. And on the rest, it says PT, and it leaves room to not believe it means part-time. So, do you see what I'm saying? Maybe you could put an asterisk at the bottom and PT means part-time. Because if you do it different on the same scale, then it leads you to believe it might mean something else.
okay.
Just be consistent, yes.
Be consistent, huh?
Just put them all.
Yeah, just change it
Just
to PT
PT,
would be
and then
easier,
an
yeah.
asterisk at the bottom, PT equals define, it means
PT.
part-time. And then define it at the bottom. If anybody can read that bottom font, can you read it?
Yeah.
Bottom, at the very top?
I eat carrots.
27? No, you eat carrots.
Yes, I can.
Wow.
It says in accordance with Title VI.
Well, I know what it
Civil
says, but I
Rights
have
Act
to
of-
really
Contact
concentrate.
lenses.
Either that or put part-time, and then I wouldn't have to put the asterisk, so.
that's
I'll
true.
come up with a,
Yes.
As long as it's consistent
Yes,
with all
with
the
a consistent, I'll do
part-times,
that.
any page.
Okay, and I'll highlight that.
Thank you, I appreciate
Okay,
it.
so we're going now to page 25 of the old one, which is page 28 of the new one.
Right.
And again, there it is, the pay grade IS 36, it winds up on pay grade IS 36. No changes, it's all there. Moving on to the next one, okay, this is where it's gonna start to get, I
A
guess.
little murky.
No, not murky, but fun. Wow, notice, and this is, I just caught it myself. If you go to, after page 28 on your spiral, page 16, which is the missing
Yes,
page.
yes, yeah, and
Yeah, it just got out of.
you kind of did that a little bit, and that confused the heck out of me.
It just, when we collated the books, it just got out
Okay, out of sequence?
of sequence. Right, because it's over here.
Oh, he has it right.
Yes, Mr. Aguilar had it correct. On page 29, and you're gonna have to kind of move the side by side, but on one side you have the 11-12 rates for substitutes versus page 29, the new rates, and they went up by $8 across the board. Any questions? And it is highlighted on your spiral under page 29, it is highlighted. Okay, we're gonna go to the next one. The next one is old page 27, which is the new page 30. The highlights, if you look at the spiral, we went with secondary certification. We took out where it said science 4 through 8 middle school only. That's changed. And we added under science composite, which now says science 4 through 8 middle school. So that's just a clarification. Then here's one of the ones that we have agreed, and it's not on this one, but it is here, the dual enrollment for teachers, a $2,000 stipend. It is highlighted on the page 30 proposed because it did not exist before on page 27. Are we okay with that stipend for dual enrollment teachers? I think that we had all agreed that it
No
was
problem with that.
fine. Okay. we're gonna, do I change or
Continue.
continue? Okay, going now to page 28 of the old one is the new 31. And that's your department heads. If you notice, there's a lot of changes because what we went ahead and did here, we actually specified the subject area instead of it all being combined. So if you notice on the old 28, it's the box is a lot smaller because it's more specific, and those are the subject areas and the actual supplement that we're recommending. This has been discussed before, so there it is.
I just have a question on the supplement, if I may.
Yes.
And I'm all for it. Please understand, I'm all for it. But it's, correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed to have doubled, but I'm okay with that, and we're going to be okay with that? Like, am I looking at the...
What do you mean by double?
Page 31? Is that
Yeah,
what
well,
you're
I mean, it seemed to have increased.
No.
On page 30, the middle schools, did it not increase? We're okay with the increase?
Okay, let's take the high schools,
high
it's
school
1,500
Yeah,
and,
that
wait,
one's-
okay,
right.
okay. Then on the alternatives before didn't used to have one,
Right.
and there, that's new, so
Okay.
that's new, okay? And then on the middle schools, it's going up, because in the past, if you notice, middle schools was 750, and we're going up to 1,000, except for we added health and took it out of the other, those stayed the same, but all your core got the increase.
And we have all that budgeted in?
Yes.
Okay, that's just all I want to know.
Yes, that is budgeted. And then for elementary, this is another one that we had to, remember we had like 2 to 4 and things of this sort, and we said, no, let's just condense
grade
it.
level.
Right, 750 and 1,000, and that's what it is. So those are the highlighted changes. And then the LPAC chairperson based on student enrollment.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why are the elementary, because they're like grade level chair people, right? Wouldn't that be equivalent to like a grade chairperson and department head? Why are we giving them less? Just because they're elementary people?
I know, because,
I mean, it's a department head is a department head. I was an elementary teacher, grade level chairperson, and it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
There's a couple of things. We are increasing it from previous. Because
I
if you
know,
notice, it
but
was
let's
from-
make it equitable.
Right. Why? Because it's, I mean,
Because elementary teachers will do anything you tell them to do for free.
they go far and beyond.
¿A poco no?
And that's why
We were
we're here.
elementary, ¿a poco no?
That's why we're
Okay,
here today, because of a good
teachers-
teacher.
At the elementary, teachers that are working with more than 6, because remember, you have to also keep the numbers, and you have to keep track of all your elementaries.
Okay,
You have
so
small
if they're more
elementaries
than
that
6,
have- Right,
if in their grade level there's 6, they get 1,000.
which is comparable to middle school.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, there is some thought behind this one.
This madness.
Yes.
But why not?
Because let's
Because
take a
some may
small,
have a small
a
campus.
small campus could have 2.
Yeah, but you're still educating. I mean, you're still educating.
No, but this is,
You're still in charge of educating a group, whether you have
Now,
3 classes
most
or
of them
5
are
classes.
gonna fall about 6, ¿verdad? Because the elementary, right?
How many,
Yeah, unless it's a very small campus.
How many do we
Which
have?
you're talking maybe Resaca, Villanueva, Longoria.
But you know, Dr. Savera, the elementary also have more disciplines when they meet at the grade level.
Yeah, well,
They have
that's
more
true, too.
disciplines than just not history or science. They have all these courses
They do.
together, and they plan for all different core subjects.
right.
And
Like I say,
every-
right now, the proposal is comparable to middle school.
Yeah, it's comparable to the middle school. Okay. All right, we're
Okay.
okay.
well, I'm not really okay, but okay.
Okay, that's, not really okay, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, next year we'll give them an increase more.
I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next page, which is now page 29 of the old one, which compares to 32.
No, that I have a concern.
On that one, you have a concern?
No.
Oh.
On the previous one.
Oh,
The one we just finished.
you wanna go
Just
back?
know that I have a concern
Oh,
with it.
okay, okay. On 29 versus 32, if you look at your spiral, there are no highlights, so it's the same exact thing.
Question.
Yeah, me too.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You first.
Me first. 29
29, mhm.
here. And I'm going to the spiral because it's the same thing.
Right.
You say there's no changes, and there is. And I go back again. I'm very literal about changes on paper.
On the
On
600 per term?
Yes, you took the word per term out of the middle school ESL certified asterisk assigned to ESL 1, 2, or English SL class. Or on the 1,200 there, you didn't put per term. Now drop, now.
No, because remember, the 1,200 is total, the explanation underneath is 600 per term, 2 terms, that's 1,200.
No. There's no explanation on that one. Look at it. The 600 is not explained in that, not in the middle school. It's explained in the high school, 600, but I didn't see.
Right, because at the elementary, if you notice, on 29 elementary, 1,200 and 600, it was not based per term, and the language became, there exactly, there's no change
But
on the
it is
elementary.
on your 11, 12, it says per term. Middle school.
No, on the middle school, but not on, let's
the middle
take it one step at a time. Let's look at the elementary.
Elementary is the same.
That's
Elementary is the same.
Right.
On the
Okay.
middle
Middle
school,
school.
the 600 per term, which is 2 terms, is 1,200. I can put back the 600 per term and put a little line and highlight it.
Well, you
That's
didn't
the
put it
only
in,
change.
so it's not per term then? Because it's not on the book. The book with the spiral, page 32, the middle column says 1,200 with nothing written underneath. And in
I
the
can-
body, I don't see where it says per term.
Is it, and it's because we pay it in part of the salary? Right,
Yeah.
that's right. See, because before,
Oh.
it used to be paid 601 and
Yeah.
600 again. Now it's part of their salary.
Included in their salary.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Put that word in there,
What's that?
included in their salary? Oh, I don't know, I mean, I'm talking
Well,
about
it's
the
a
explanation.
supplement, so a supplement.
The stipulations.
Now, what I can, and I mean, I'll do what you all direct
In
me.
the stipulations, if you don't tell me that, then I don't understand that's what you're.
Okay, look on the special note. It says all supplemental salaries are to be paid to full-time district employees according to levels as indicated in this schedule.
Okay, keep going.
That are in accordance, maybe there where you can put, like, Miss,
It's not in there.
yeah, where it says will be paid as part of the salary or something
Under
included.
special notes?
Yeah, for middle school, because on the other ones, it's split up, and I understand how you're telling me and why it's being split up. But in the middle school, it's part of their pay, but you don't explain anywhere in here that that's what's happening. So that, and because in the 2011 and 12, it was per term, and it's not anymore because now it's included in their pay, like Mr. Kepke said yes over there.
We can do that, and I'll highlight where I place it, okay?
And the reason I want to make this clear, because remember, this is public information. Anybody can come and request this. And that way, if they read it, they have no problem with the interpretation. And if they catch you and they ask you, you might not remember off the top of your head because we have so many things to work with and do.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. I'll
That is a
edit
good-
under,
yeah.
I'll edit to one of the special notes, more than
Yeah.
likely it's going to be the first one, and I'll highlight the addition, okay?
I appreciate it.
So everyone's supplemental is included on their pay, even the elementary,
Yes,
the bilingual and ESL?
It says per
Yes, the
term.
Bobby?
right, it's all going to be part of their salary, yes. Instead of being paid,
Per term.
Per term.
What about, okay, it's per term. What is it, then what's the stipulation of 600 per term based on assignment? That's different from the supplement, 1,200?
where are you?
32, I'm still in 32.
You're on 32, and the 600, you're talking about the elementary?
No, high school.
High school. I'm going to the high school.
Look at the stipulations in the box of explanation.
Yeah, I see it here, right.
Assigned to ES.
Yeah, I see it right here. I'm reading
Alright.
it here.
Third check mark, the check mark next to the third
Oh,
line.
that might be deleted.
Do you see how it says?
Oh, because maybe
because
one
that's 1,200.
semester, uh-huh.
Well, I think, and
see what-
maybe, and here's where, okay, I'll research this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's confusing a
Because
bit.
it's either there or over here, but
Right.
not on both areas.
Right.
I got it.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
sure.
So,
Let me put a question mark here, and I'll get it corrected.
use, get a pink highlighter so it will be different from the yellow one.
Oh,
'Cause
orange
then you,
too?
right, because you won't
Okay.
know if it's ours or yours.
Great. All right,
That always helps me. Thank you.
no problem. And so do we move on?
Yeah, we're okay. Move on.
The old page 30 is the new page 33, and the supplements and days stayed the same. And there it is. Move on to page 31, which is your new 34, and there are several changes. And if you notice on your spiral, they're highlighted. This is on the Career and Technology Student Organization, sponsored chairperson attendance at Leadership Training Conference, 75 half day and 100. And the reason that we had to change that is because remember when we changed the rate,
Right.
those are the
That
effects of
affected.
it.
Yeah, okay.
So those are the changes there. They're just for the record, they're going up. Yeah, okay, then next one is the old page 32 is the new page 35. And on the spiral, you will notice powerlifting / weight conditioning is an added on stipend right there, and it's 7,000, so that's the difference.
And I have a question on that
Yes.
position. Because I guess when we have the powerlifting and weight conditioning, and we're going to do it at all the high schools, because we do have equipment at all our high schools. My question is, and if I may refer myself, Dr. Montoya, to, I guess, Mr. Haynes. This is under Mr. Haynes. And you're physically fit, so you know what I'm talking about when it comes to weightlifting. And it's very important that the person that's in charge of this, well, you too, well.
And he goes, yes, his eyes sparkle.
I noticed, Mr. Garcia, you and I weren't included in that
He
one.
went, yes.
I apologize. My husband weightlifts, so I can tell the difference. So someone who doesn't. So it shows in your shoulders. My point is that we need to make sure. I'm sorry, I don't mean to insult anyone. My point is that even my boys do this. That we need to make sure we have someone that knows about this program and can implement it and knows the safety, and not just someone raising their hand and saying, hey, I can do this. Because I know my children were taught by my husband the crucial, and I even had teachers at elementary level who were telling my children when to do it, what to do, what not to do with your growth plates and your body, and how to make sure we do it correctly. This is very crucial because you can injure yourself permanently if you do it incorrectly and do permanent damage to yourself.
So you're giving that direction to the superintendent?
To the superintendent. So I'm telling him, I'm speaking with him, I apologize, because I can tell that he knows something about weightlifting.
Right?
The soup.
Yeah, go ahead,
I
Mr.
apologize to everybody else. I don't mean to
Montoya,
insult you.
members of the board. Basically, the people that whoever is hired as one of the trainers, they have to go through a training and be certified through that, training, making sure that they will know how to teach students how to lift weights without
And if,
injury and
right.
for safety reasons. So they are going to be certified.
But my point is that we got to make sure it's somebody who is very qualified. Because again, Dr. Montoya, we don't need someone to say, I took the weightlifting course and I'm ready. Oh, no, you're not. No, sir, you're not. No offense. But if you've never lifted a weight in your life and you want to get a training for 3 weeks and I'm ready, no, we're not ready. Let's be, this is something that's very crucial to our strengthening program and our athletics division. This is why some of these teams are whooping us out there on the field, because the strength that you build with these weights. So can we make sure it's more than just a certification? You have to look the part. Let me put it this way. If you say you're a weightlifter and you don't have a muscle on your body, I've got a problem.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Peña. Thank you. We get the point. You got the point?
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
we sure did.
Ms. Longoria?
Yeah. I thought we were going to do away with this third sport. It's still in there. I think you said that was someone
Oh,
that
that's
goes
true.
filming.
Good eye.
What was it?
The third sport
Good sport.
to go film.
That was the filming and scouting.
Is that
For
what
some.
that is?
Well, for some, I think that's what they.
If you notice on 11, 12, and 12, 13, the third sport was there and the third sport was there. What happened was that at one time we were making it different. This had changed before.
So this is an actual sport,
Yes.
not somebody videotaping.
Right.
Okay,
And,
then,
and again,
yeah,
notice
I'm fine with
11,
it.
12, and 12, 13, it's the same.
Okay.
There was some enhancement to it in one of the presentations, but when you said no, when the board in general said no, this is not something that we want to go, we took it out, and it's back to where it is.
But it's an actual sport. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. Okay.
Somebody?
Well, the only thing on the third sport, if you look at junior highs and some of the high schools, sometimes we don't have enough coaches due to the fact that you only have certain coaches to come in to also teach.
Right.
And so sometimes you do need to have a coach teach or coach another.
So you need the
sport.
third sports, what you're
Yeah,
saying.
so, yeah,
Okay.
basically, and not too many coaches do this. It's only very few and
Very few
rare,
stepped
but-
up to the plate.
But I think what we were hearing was that they weren't being utilized for a third sport. They were given credit for a third sport, but they were going scouting.
Yep.
And the scouting is part of their coaching responsibilities.
Right, that should be, and I'll make sure that
Yeah.
we look into that.
Okay.
And this is, if I may, Dr. Saavedra and Dr. Montoya, this supplement is in their pay, or is it a lump sum, or is it broken up, or is it part of their pay?
Part of the pay.
Okay, your lifeline said part of the pay. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Now, and just for my benefit, remember, I like to get a book that anyone can pick up and understand. Can we put somewhere at the bottom, the supplement duty pay is included in their regular pay?
Or on all these that you have the notes, yeah.
Just add one more note.
And
Yeah.
all of-
They're all paid. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
also-
we'll work.
A blanket statement or
we'll work.
something,
Sentence
yeah.
right there where it says that all supplemental salaries are paid for full-time employees.
Okay.
Right.
In their salary or something.
Yeah.
Just elaborate a little more.
Okay.
Moving on.
UIL?
Okay, yes, the next one is UIL 33, which is the new 36, and that stayed the same.
Alright.
No changes. If you look at your spiral, there's no changes, so that stayed the same. Then the next one is page 34, which is the new 37. This is two changes. One of them is the cell phone usage. That's a new one. That was one of the recommendations from the forensic audit, and we're saying that $50 per month for that. And then this is the other one, which I think you had a question, Ms. Peña, last night on all employees. This is a $1,200 stipend. Right now, we're proposing for it to be paid in November and May at $600 per semester. And I think one of the questions is why November and May? Why not all? And things
Yes,
like this.
please explain that, then we
There's
can put it to rest.
several reasons why.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll say them, and then we can discuss them. One of them is, of course, the tax implication, whether it's 600 versus 1,000, and we've talked about that. The other one is, from the school district's perspective, it would present a cash flow problem or issue. Not a problem, but an issue. Because if you give 600 versus 1,200, you're talking about 4 million instead of 8 million. Now, here's the counter argument that I've heard about that. Well, if we couldn't give the 1,200 all in one, then why did we propose it and things of this sort? Remember that initially the intent was to do it throughout 12 months.
Right.
Because you do have cash flow issues, especially the way we're funded. In August and in April, we don't get any money from the state, so we work with what we have. This would help the district in the cash flow. 4 million and 4 million, that's one. The other thing is, the money, the longer you keep money in the bank, even though it's 0.21% interest, you do generate some
I already
money.
fought that battle, I lost. Go ahead.
And then the other thing, which is more, and I've asked for legal to give me some direction on it, is that first of all, if an employee receives the $1,200 in November, and that employee then leaves in December, that they haven't, depending on how we would set up the agreements, then what, does that mean that the employee would get to take the money, keep the money, or would it be that they would have to pay back? Is it a retention, quote-unquote, bonus? Is it a stipend? See, there's a lot of issues. What makes it easier all around, for various reasons, is to go November through May, and I think that we would avoid most of the situations.
I have a question, if I may, because I understand now why we can't do, or why it wouldn't be feasible for the district to do it at one lump sum. So we've established November, which means right before they go out to their Thanksgiving holidays. Am I correct?
That's correct.
How feasible would it be? Because what we're looking at helping the employee is giving them a benefit that will help them in some way or manner. They want it all instead of in split. But how feasible would it be to give it to them during spring break in March? Right before, I don't know, just, are those the months where we have a cash flow problem?
Well, April, we don't have any money from
Okay.
the state.
So, all right.
So you're going to pull, extra.
So it would be in May, the last,
May, when the money comes in again from the state,
okay.
because remember, in all...
And this is not to burden our funds. That's why we will want to do it in May as opposed to earlier.
Yeah, because again, it's money, it's a good investment. I'm not going to say that it's not, but it is money that, is going to go out from
Okay.
our cash flows.
Yes, ma'am.
You had also mentioned at your previous presentation that since they haven't worked those days, you cannot pay them because it would be like an advancement to them, right? They have to work so many days before it would
Right,
be considered.
and I did say that, and I even went further and I said the gift of public funds, and that's why now I'm saying I really need some direction from our legal, because there was I think 2 days ago, something from TRS came out that added more, because a lot of districts are going through this. So TRS is being asked by our not only our employees but by teachers, and saying, hey, I have some questions anywhere from why isn't it TRS eligible? What if I quit? There's a lot of questions, and they're trying to give us some clarification. So I am going to dial back my first comments about whether it becomes a public gift of funds or not, based until I get some more direction.
Right,
But the bottom line that doesn't change is, and I will go on record again, it does present a cash flow issue.
Okay, and that's really what, and I know our employees don't want to burden the district. That's not their intent. Okay.
Okay? The next one is page 35, which is the old 35, new 38. And on this one, the highlighted is, we did add the assistant head chess sponsor, the $800 there. And then we also added a new stipend, which is a destination imagination, which is $250 per meet, up to $1,000. And then if you go to staff development, again, that's because of the change in our hourly rates. We would have to put it at 150 for 6 hours. And then there it is, the other one, half day is 75, and that's because of this change. We're going with the assigned supplemental duties, which is your campus tutorial and your summer school, effective August 27th, 2012. It'll go from $20 to $30 per hour. And second is the assigned supplement duties, which is other, would be from 20 to 25. That could include like curriculum writing and things of this sort. So because of those changes, that's why you would see some changes on the staff development amounts that we pay. And then we also added the advanced academic and Kate lead teacher supplement duty. Again, it goes from $100 to $150 per day. And again, that's because of the change on the rate. Questions?
I have a question on since we're looking at all the supplements, that kind of concludes, ¿verdad? Almost everybody?
There's a couple of more real quick, and then if you want to, I can come back. Or...
Yeah, okay.
And again,
Yeah, because I have I guess it's mainly a concern, but,
And on 38, if I may note, Dr. Saavedra, again, the highlight, there I go again with the highlight, and I know it's minimal, but it helps, because you highlight that you took off the 50, but you didn't highlight the new change was 150, but you did highlight it at the bottom. Do you see how there's no consistency?
What I can do is highlight the new
whole thing.
rate, but just keep the line on the old one.
No, just look at how you highlight
Like
it.
the whole thing? Okay, okay, I see it,
The
yes.
consistency is not there, so if we can work on consistency, it makes it a lot easier to follow.
You got it, I'll do that.
Tell your secretary to do that.
moving along.
Yes. Going on to the next one, which is...
Thank you.
39.
Which is 39, and before, I can't see the page before, but I'm assuming that it was 36 before, because it's darkened on
Yeah,
mine.
36.
But it's the same title, and what we're changing, if you notice in the middle school, we're changing the scoreboard and the ticket seller to be consistent with all of them. Instead
Right.
of 14, make it 17, so it's now consistent.
Everybody across
with-
the board.
Good.
Right. Okay, the next one is going to be the old page 37, which is the new page 40. And in there is no change. All the amounts are the same, and it has remained the same.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay, I have a question on the stipends, on the supplements.
page?
No, it's just a general question. You know that, and here I go with the fine arts again. Is my fine arts lady here? There you go. You
not
know
about to
that
leave.
this, and I just want to make sure that it's been budgeted, because this year we are competing for the state right? The pigskin competition. You know we're going to have bands going. Have we allocated monies for them that come, for travel and things like that come out? Yes?
Yes, and this can be confirmed by our administrator. When she met with me on the budget, that was one of the issues that she brought up.
Right.
And she gave me comparisons of how other campuses, other school districts had done it. And yes, we did put an amount.
Okay, now comes my second question. Okay, that was budgeted. If the directors or that band makes it to state, is there an incentive for the band directors as an extra supplement? Because, it's going to require more work. They go one competition and then they go to state.
Not at this time. It was not brought up before, so no, not at this time. Now, the money for the travel has been set aside, but not a stipend for future advances.
Yeah.
And when they go, on that same note, when they go to these competitions, sometimes they have overnight stays, am I correct? And I know, Dr. Montoya, we had talked about this with our trips, like going out of town to Disney or taking a team to compete somewhere, that we have someone travel with them as the chaperone at the hotel they're going to stay, with a security guard staying up all night, walking the floors, as opposed to having the chaperone parents stay up and be on no sleep, because you can go 40, 50 hours with no sleep and you're functioning, but you're not registering what you're doing. So I want to emphasize that the bands, if they make it, they take a security guard to be in charge of walking those hotels, making sure no one gets into our children's rooms or what have you, as opposed to having the band directors go on shifts and be up 2 or 3 hours every night and not sleeping properly.
I discussed it with the chief, and he's very well aware, and he has no problems with it.
I really appreciate that. That way, our fine arts know that that's there for them, so we can have them fully rested and alert when our children are out there performing, because that's what we need.
Yeah.
Please, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Garcia, I'm looking here at page 33 on the spiral. Yeah, I mean, doesn't this supplemental pay they're getting, wouldn't that compensate them for that extra competition when they go to competition?
Right now, that's the way it is, but she's saying, because they have advance, it's going to require.
No, if they
additional-
advance to state. I know they get their supplement, but if they advance.
Right.